Well, hello there, and welcome to the Sovereign CEO Caleb Jones version of the AMA Ask Me Anything, where I spend the next 37 hours on video answering all the questions that many of you, or a lot of you, wrote in over the past several weeks. It's been a year or two since I've done this, and the way I'm doing it this time is a little different. First, I have done, and this might already be up on my Alpha Male 2.0 channel by the time you see or hear this, I did an Alpha Male 2.0 AMA version where we cover male lifestyle, anti-aging, dating, relationships, things like that for men. So that's over at my Alpha Male 2.0 channel and Alpha Male 2.0 podcast. This version today is the Sovereign CEO version, where I'm going to answer the questions that have to do with things like business, 5 flags, finance, politics, stuff like that. And then I'm doing a third version where it is a Pink Firefly AMA that will also be at my Alpha Male 2.0 channel. We'll have her on the video, and she will answer all the questions you wrote in for her. So let's get started here. I have my questions here on my trusty phone. And every once in a while I'll be checking the technology, make sure things are working okay. So a few things to get started before I answer questions. My standard spiel when I do these. You can ask me anything you want. I will answer any questions pretty much except for 3 or 4 things. I will not answer, Caleb, how much money do you make? Caleb, what is your net worth? Caleb, where exactly are you invested? I cannot answer these questions. I've discussed many times why I can't answer these questions, primarily for legality reasons and liability reasons. You're just going to have to guess. We have removed the names from all these questions. So I want to, and the reason for that is I want to be able to answer these questions on the basis, on the merit of the question without me knowing who it is. So if I like you, I don't want to give a nicer answer because I like you. If I dislike you, and I don't really dislike any people, but if I dislike you or I see your name go, oh, him, I don't want to have that influence my answer. So I'm going to give you real raw answers. I have seen about a third of these questions. The 2/3 of these, the rest of the questions I have not seen. So I want to give you extemporaneous answers. And what else? Oh, and the answer is no, I will not do timestamps on this gigantically long video / podcast. That would take a lot of time and effort that I would have to pay for. This is free. If you want timestamps and Q&A timestamps, we do that in my coaching services like the UMS program or the Founder's Sanctum program. Go sign up for one of those, and then you can get all the timestamps you want. If I'm doing this shit for free, no, you don't get timestamps. Sorry. I love people who complain about free content. It just baffles me. It's part of the era in which we live. All right. What else do I want to say about this before I get started? This will go for pretty long, probably a few hours. I do not know how long this is. You know, but I just started recording this, so you can look at how long this video is or this podcast. This will be both a video at the Sovereign CEO channel and a podcast at the Sovereign CEO podcast. It'll be audio version and video version. Okay. Let me get to our questions here. I'm reading them off my trusty phone. You guys got a lot of questions. God damn. All right, here we go. They're also randomized or no particular order. And these questions came in from like YouTube, email, Instagram, Facebook, various places. And we just consolidated them all. All right, here we go. Do you honestly think that there is no, and no is capitalized, difference in the future of the USA if Trump was president instead of Biden? Nothing significant, no. The biggest difference you'd see is that right-wingers would be really happy for 4 years for no reason, and left-wingers would be really happy for 4 years for no reason, and the collapse would continue. How do I know that? Trump was already president for 4 years, and even pre-pandemic, he did literally nothing to move the needle. He did not build a wall, like you said. He did not bring the Manufacturing Jobs Act. He did not make America great again. All he did positive was that he cut my taxes. And I say my taxes, not your taxes, because if you're an average income guy, he didn't cut your taxes. He cut my taxes. I'm a higher income guy. That's all he did. That's it. That's the problem. And so, no, there would be very, very little difference. Now, there are some, not very many, but a few honest Trump supporters during Trump's reign who said on my blogs, well, Caleb, you know, yeah, he's not going to make America great again, but he'll delay the collapse by a few years. He'll delay it by a few years. Whereas if Hillary was president, we would have collapsed much sooner. Here's the problem. None of you guys said that back in 2016, 2017. All you Trump dorks said, he'll make America great again. No one back in 2016, 2017 said, vote for Trump. He will take the United States, which is destined to collapse no matter what we do, and delay that collapse by a few years. None of you said that. You said that once he was president, And I pointed out, see, he's not doing anything he promised. Now what do you got, guys? Well, he doesn't have the authority to do that. You didn't say that in 2016. Vote for Trump. He doesn't have the authority to do anything he said. Right? I mean, this is the problem with you Trump guys. You're just not thinking clearly. You're not thinking rationally. You're super excited for no reason because you lost the culture war 10 years ago, and now you cling to people who have deep emotional problems like Jordan Peterson and Steven Crowder and Donald Trump. This is one of the reasons why the Western world is collapsing. The woke left has no opposition. Their only opposition is you guys. I just saw, what's his name? Charlie Kirk. Big right-winger on YouTube, being interviewed for a podcast. Just watched a clip of it, just a few minutes because I couldn't stand it. Everything coming out of his mouth was a lie. Everything coming out of his mouth was factually incorrect. When we had Trump, the best foreign policy in 100 years. No, we didn't. Trump presided over 6 wars and didn't end any of them. When we had Trump, it was the greatest economy in the history of the United States. No, that was the late 40s to the 1950s to the early 60s. Everything that came out of his mouth, factually incorrect. And I know there are a bunch of Trump dorks saying, yeah, Trump. That's the problem. Woke left has no opposition. Say goodbye to the United States. Stop focusing on Trump. Get your shit together. Get your Alpha 2.0 business started. Get your location-dependent income and move the fuck out of the United States, or at a bare minimum, set up an international backup plan so when, not if, when the United States collapses in your lifetime, which it will, you have somewhere to go. Okay. You've talked before about how Germany is in trouble and maybe the first European country to collapse. Correct and correct. Unfortunately, I have several people in my life who love Germany and are currently living and working there. Oh, I know where this is going. How do I show these people the danger of staying there long term? They're not going to listen to you. Are there any good recent studies, articles you could recommend? There's a few on things like Zero Hedge, but again, here's the deal. It's just like people with my Alpha 2.0 content. Caleb, I want my friend is marrying his girlfriend and he's a beta and he's going to get divorced. And how do I convince him to learn? They have no interest. If you say, you can see from this own channel, from my own channel here, I have people in my own audience who think, oh, America will be fine. Oh, Germany will be fine. Oh, Canada will be fine. Okay, there's no convincing these people. So if they really want to stay there and they think, oh, it'll be fine, you can show them all the data you want. They're not going to listen to you until the day comes when they get fired from their job and they go to the ATM and there'll be a big line at the bank and they can't pull any money out, right? And they go home and now they can't pay their bills and they can't get money out of the bank and they're fucked. Then they'll listen, but by then it'll be too late. So you can provide articles if you want. Don't have any off the top of my head, but it's not going to do any help. Unless they're already kind of like, well, God, shit, man, I mean, maybe I'm interested. I mentioned this over in my Alpha Male 2.0 AMA. If there's a window of rational thinking, if they say, well, what do you mean it's collapsing? That means there's some level of rational thinking in there, and maybe you could show them the data. But if they go, it's fine, what do you mean? You're crazy. They're not going to collapse. Okay. What are some examples of good niches for an experienced English teacher? I'm curious to see your thought processes here. I get these questions all the time. There are 10,000 plus niches you could do. There's no way I can sit here and say, well, as an English teacher, you should do this. There's 10,000 different options. Find a niche that has a problem you can help solve or alleviate via your skills. And if you don't have those skills, via skills you can learn or skills you can outsource. Let's see. Continue on this question. How might you market one of these niches if your forte was writing? Email and copywriting. That's what you do. Good copy on your websites, good copy on your email, good copy on your social media. I would probably do a B2B business where I had good copywriting on LinkedIn. That's probably what I would do. Blog, really good blog. No. With advances in AI and other technologies, what's your vision for what schools should look like to actually prepare kids for their futures? I have said this many times. Today, when you walk into a classroom, you go into a time warp back to the 1950s. You have a classroom with a bunch of desks and you write on paper, and it's so stupid. If you read books like Abundance by Diamandis, they've done experiments like in places like India where they don't have school at all. They just have like 3 or 4 kids. You put them in a little group and you put them in front of a computer and you let them learn on their own. And you kind of give them a general direction, and they learn things faster than sitting there in a classroom with a teacher. So schools are completely outdated. Schools are one of those things you can't change. You have to completely delete them and start from zero. There's no modification of schools. And so with advances in AI and other technologies, I'm not an expert in this area, so I couldn't give you a detailed scenario of how I would do this. My mom has been an educator for most of her life, so she'd be a better person to ask about this. But I know for a fact that a classroom setting with 30 kids sitting in these little desks with a teacher lecturing on a chalkboard, that was out of date 20 years ago, 25 years ago, easily out of date. I mean, you should have kids on computers with headphones talking to people in other countries, learning actual, and also you need to focus on the basics. Reading, here's what you need to focus on. Reading, writing, basic math, basic history from your country, if it's the United States, basic U.S. history. And that's about it when you're a kid. Reading, writing, basic math, basic U.S. history, okay? Then when you're a little older, you start focusing on business and finance, okay? They don't teach kids how do you pay the minimum amount of money in taxes? Will that ever be taught in a government school? No, but this is a skill you need to learn. How do you start your own business, even if it's a little business on the side? Teaching these things early, like, by the time they're 10 or 11. I could do a whole thing on if I was charged the school system, but that'd be just a bunch of hypothetical BS, so who cares? What are your current thoughts on living in Mexico and Guadalajara specifically? Guadalajara is my favorite city in Mexico. There are other good cities in Mexico too. Guys get very defensive when I say Guadalajara is the best city in Mexico. I got a whole bunch of people emailing, Caleb, that's not the best city. There's so many other cities. What about this city and that city and this city and that city? Yes, there are lots of cool cities in Mexico. There are. Lots of cool places. Guadalajara happens to be my favorite. Kill me. Jesus Christ, it's all right. There's a video I did on Guadalajara. You should watch it on my Sovereign CEO YouTube channel. And living in Guadalajara, make sure you live in an area that's relatively safe. There are some parts of Guadalajara is a very big city. It's very spread out. It's like 5 million people. There are some regions of that city that are not good. They're not safe, mostly in the southeast part of the city. So just stay in a safer region and a safer neighborhood, and you're good. Good to go. As an experienced ghost blogger who can write well and easily, I was considering becoming a specialist blogger for one particular type of very high-end professional who needs blogging and a lot to gain clients. I don't understand that part. Is this a good idea for a few years, even with the rise of AI? These clients seem to hate the idea of having AI write their blog posts instead of humans. Perhaps later, when AI becomes a human-like skill, I could pivot to managing their blogs or providing other similar marketing services. Yes, as long as you are very, very niched and you're a good writer, you can still pull that off today because you're right. There are a lot of companies that are uncomfortable with having AI write their blog posts. Now, to your point, that will change. That could change very fast. I don't know how fast it will change. That could change in a year. So I don't know. So if you're going to do anything writing-based, you better be very good and very niched. Very niched. Not I help businesses. That's not niched. Not I'm in healthcare. That's not niched. Extremely narrowly niched. And a good writer. And then you can make it work. And like you said, you need another skill set other than writing to back up your ability to make a living when AI takes that over. I mean, all these fucking coders. I just did a video last year. My Sovereign CEO channel, don't learn to code. That's fucking stupid. Last year. And a whole bunch of guys said, yeah, this is a good idea. With AI, you're fucked. You're going to have millions of coders unable to pay their bills in a year or 2 or 3 or less because they focus on coding and no other skill sets. You need a broader set of skills. Okay? Very important. AI is going to wipe out a lot of people. It's going to wipe out journalists. It's going to wipe out attorneys. It's going to be a problem. Okay? But you need other skill sets besides your one thing. I will go back to one of my favorite quotes. I quoted The Unchained Man. Earl Nightingale was many years ago. He was watching TV. This, I think, during the early 90s when people started getting laid off. And some guy got laid off from some plant somewhere, some blue-collar guy. And he said, I can't get another job. I've been doing nothing but this for 20 years. And Earl Nightingale said, you have not developed any other skills in 20 years? 20 years you've done nothing? He said, in 20 years, you could learn to do heart surgery in your spare time. And you didn't do shit. So a lot of you guys who are coders or writers or journalists or attorneys, and that's all you know how to do, you're fucked. Time to build some other skills. Full stack. When you're an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner, I have many different skills that I've developed over years because I want to be safe. I don't want any technology to come along and replace me. And it won't. Okay. Let's see. What's the best way to market with no money? It depends on what you're selling. My default answer is cold calls. That's how I got started. as a consultant with no high school degree and no college diploma. It's the other way around. No college, no high school diploma, no college degree. Okay, I didn't have that stuff. At age 24, as a computer consultant with no connections, no people skills, and I was making a six-figure income in 1990s dollars within 3 years. And I got started getting on the phone and calling people. And I know you don't want to do that, but it works. Works. There are lots of ways to do this. You can also grow it organically if you're not in a rush. Blogging, SEO, videos, things like that, as long as you're niched. Okay, niche, very important. Those are the two big ones. There are a lot of others. DMing people on LinkedIn, okay, things like that. Reaching out to people via email, cold outreach. But cold calls are the best. Depends what you're selling, though. Can I buy land in Paraguay remotely? No. And you're not going to be able to buy land in Paraguay unless you have not only residency, but a cedula. So you have to do those things first. Join our Get Residency in Paraguay service, although I think it's probably closed by the time you watch this video. But no, you cannot. I mean, you could do it through representatives, but then you won't own the land. You have to have a partner down there. I wouldn't do that. Plus, here's the deal, too. Just because I'm looking or have, can't tell you, land in Paraguay, doesn't mean you should just copy me and go to Paraguay and buy land. There are lots of people in the Five Flag space who think there are other better places to own land in South America, places in Argentina, Chile, maybe Brazil, Colombia. There are a lot of other places. South America is a big place. A lot of places to own land. So, matter of fact, Andrew Henderson, when I talked to him about this, and Nomad Capitalist, he's like, don't get land in Paraguay, get land in, I forget what he said. So he didn't even like that idea. So just because I'm doing it doesn't mean you have to do it. Do your own research. Let's see. I had a tiny business previously in the USA, but it's very location specific, location dependent. Okay. I know the things needed to run a business, but I can't figure out what kind of business to do. Here in the USA, I repaired Chevrolet pickup truck speedometers. That's cool. And reprogrammed automotive SRS computers. That's neat. Both of which are extremely niche and are similar things possible to do in Paraguay. Yes, similar things are possible to do. Yes, you could do similar things in Paraguay, but then you'd be location dependent in Paraguay. So I wouldn't recommend that. I've had people ask me this question. I'm location dependent, so I'll just move to another country and be location dependent there instead of being location dependent in the United States or Canada or the UK. Yeah, I mean, that's one notch better, but you're still location dependent. I live here in Dubai. I'm not location dependent in Dubai. I can be out of here, as I've said many times, in 48 hours. 72 hours, excuse me. Well, I'll be out of here in 40 hours. I can be somewhere else, feet on the ground in 72 hours and still be able to maintain my income because none of my income is reliant upon me being here in Dubai. Taxes are, but not income. So I wouldn't recommend this. How would you convert that to a location independent operation? You would train other guys who do that on how to develop their own businesses, how to get clients, how to better their operations. You would consult or coach with other people who reprogram SRS, SRS computers or truck speedometers who do that. Service people in that industry. That is exactly how I got started way back when. I was an IT consultant, and then later in life, I morphed that into a business called CCM, where I sold marketing services to IT consultants. And I made more money doing that on less hours than I ever did being an IT consultant actually doing the work. And it was 100% location dependent. So that's what you do. That's the easiest way to bridge location dependence to location independence. Service the people who are your competitors or were your competitors in other regions over the internet. There you go. Plan B in thinking to sell products or services. I wish I could sell info, but I have a heavy accent, stumble when I talk, and have severe anxiety on camera. You don't have to be on camera. You can do blogging. You can do emails. You can hire someone else to speak for you or do podcasts or videos. That's an excuse. That's a bullshit excuse. That's like guys who say, I can't get laid, I'm too short, I'm 5'7". That's a bullshit excuse. You can do this. You could make $1 million a year doing this with a shitty accent. And here's the other thing too. If you're shy on camera, you're not good on camera, guess what? I know this is going to blow your mind. You practice. So your first video is going to suck ass. And if you look at most famous YouTubers, if you go back and look at their first videos, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, if they're still on there, you can see how horrible they were. They're terrible. I wasn't all that great on video. I mean, I was not horrible because I had been professionally speaking for 20 years. But yeah, and then you do it again and do it again and do it again. You do a few of them and you start getting better. Billy on the Unchained Business podcast was terrified to be on camera. She was terrified. Terrified. And she's a lot better now than she was the first time we did it. A lot better. She was very stiff the first time. So you just practice and get good at it. Don't make excuses. All right, hang on. How safe is Paraguay, especially from MS-13 gang? Oh, God. Okay, this is a typical dumb question from a dumb American. No offense, but you're a dumb American. MS-13 is a gang in Los Angeles built up of Ecuadorians. It has nothing whatsoever to do with Paraguay. Paraguay's nowhere near this. You don't have anything like that in Paraguay. It is two completely separate things on two completely separate parts of the planet Earth. The fact you ask these questions means you are not doing any research. This tells me you are the typical dumb American who knows nothing about the world and you've done zero research. You've heard a few of my videos and said, but what about this? And you've done no research on this. MS-13 does not do with Paraguay. There are no gangs in Paraguay. There are no gangs. So that's not that kind of culture. Is investing into Paraguay citrus farming a good idea? That is a very general question. Good idea for what? Based on what? What are your objectives? You could. I don't think I'd do citrus. I would do something. So my opinion on this is when you have a farm or farmland or land in a foreign country, this is my opinion. This is not a technique I'm giving you. Okay, this is just Caleb's opinion. I would invest in things that are very, very simple. Corn, soy, cows, cattle, something that will do well in bad economies, do well in good economies. Something that is very weather resistant, because we're in for, like I said, we've entered into a dark age. Next 30 years will be very painful for a lot of people. So I don't want to do anything weird or cutesy or risky with that kind of stuff. That's my opinion. What are your thoughts on monetary theorists, social economists, I'm going to start over. What are your thoughts on monetary theorists, socialist economists, and Marxists? They're wrong. I listen to Richard Wolff. I think that's his first name. His last name is Wolff. He is a very reasonably famous on YouTube socialist economist and smart guy, but he's wrong. I mean, he was asked one time about, local taxes or something. And he said, we shouldn't have cars. It should all be mass transit. The government of those local towns should have mass transit. That's the solution. And I'm thinking, Mr. Wolff, have you heard at all about the chaos in Southern California trying to build a railway down there where it costs like $5 million a mile and they wasted $20, $30, $40 million and didn't get anywhere because it's a clusterfuck because government's a dumbass and doesn't know how to do anything? Hello? So he just ignores things. Monetary theorists, I've been talking about those guys in my blogs for years. These guys say, you can print all the money we want. Nothing bad will ever happen forever because we owe it to ourselves. So here's how you shut those guys down really fast. You can do this on the internet. I've done this several times. It's pretty fun. Those guys, you say, okay, why not have the United States federal government print up a bunch of money every January 1st and pay every American age 18 or over, write them a check for $100,000 tax-free and do that every January 1st. Why not? If we can print all the money we want forever and nothing bad will ever happen because we owe it to ourselves, why not do that? Should we do that? And they're going to say, oh, shit, I wouldn't do that. Oh, really? Why? So just ask them that question and watch them squirm or run away or change the subject. If they run away, there you go. If they say, well, I wouldn't recommend that. You say, really? Why? Why not? And listen to them destroy their own point. If we can print all the money we want, because we owe it to these guys are insane. It's ridiculous. I've had many debates with these guys online. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. Yes, you could print some money. I'm not a, hardcore gold-backed currency Austrian. I'm close, but not 100%. I'm not saying you can't have a society where you print some money. Because what you also want to do is limit yourself to, the amount of gold. You can only grow your currency based on the amount of gold mined out of the earth. That's not a good idea either. In my opinion, it should be some kind of formula multiple based on that, where you can print some money, but there's a hard limit to it. You can't just print trillions of dollars whenever the fuck you want, Trump supporters, which is what Trump did under, the pandemic, print up $6 trillion when we were just so stupid. So there you go. Of the 4 good residency countries you discussed, can you rank those countries in terms of best embassies to renounce U.S. citizenship in? None of them. I don't think any of them have great embassies for that. The best embassies to renounce your citizenship are usually in European, which is not Armenia, Mexico, Paraguay. And I mean, you could do it. You might be able to do it, but I'd have to call all of them and do a bunch of research. And I ain't Nomad Capitalist. I ain't doing that kind of work for you. Sorry. And if I did, I'd have to be like Nomad Capitalist and only take you on as a client if you made at least 7 figures a year. Do you want me to do that? Probably not. So you have to do those your research yourself. But based on what I've heard from people who have done this, the least bad embassies to renounce your U.S. citizenship tend to be in Europe, not South America. So do your own research. You can figure it out. When I renounce my U.S. citizenship, and I will not do that until I have 2 other passports in my hand in addition to my American passport, because I like to have backups upon backups. So we're looking at a year or 2 or 3 before I do that. But when I do that, I promise you I will do the research. If I have to hire someone, maybe I'll hire Andrew Nova Capitalist to do the research to get me the details on the best embassy to go to. It will probably be an embassy outside the United States, because the United States embassies are all backed up. Last I heard was if you want to renounce your citizenship in the United States, your U.S. citizenship, you want to go to a place in the U.S., you have to wait a year. Welcome to American Collapse. Great. By the way, I had to get some paperwork from Paraguay for my residency down there, and I had to get something apostilled at the U.S. federal government level. It normally takes 2 months. Then it took 45 days. It took 5 months. And the thing I was trying to do expired. U.S. government. But I'm sure Trump will fix all that, right? Oh, God. What kind of cybersecurity business would you start? Again, it's kind of a general question. And what would be your niche? Favorite? Okay. So what cybersecurity business would I start off the top of my head, and what would be my favorite niche? Let me think about that. I don't know, because it'd be a very narrow niche. It wouldn't be cybersecurity for SaaS companies, because I have guys in my programs or guys I coach with. Caleb, I want to do cybersecurity, and my niche is SaaS companies. That's not a niche. You know how many SaaS companies there are in the world? That's not a niche. I don't know. Off the top of my head, maybe I would do cybersecurity for WordPress hosting platforms. Something like that. I don't know. I'd have to do a lot of research. You can't just come up with a niche on the spur of the moment. I mean, you can sometimes. I mean, I just did, right? But I would do some research. What I just said is probably isn't narrow enough. It's probably narrow enough. So I'd have to think about that. Favorite gaming platform and video game. Favorite gaming platform is PC by far. I don't play Nintendo or Xbox because I'm an adult. I'll play PC. Shoot 'em games are fun, but I don't have the personality where I can sit there on a first-person shooter for 8 hours at a time. I don't have that kind of personality. I'm like, this is dumb. It's fun for an hour, 45 minutes. It's fun for a while. 8 hours at a time, like a lot of you guys, I have other things to do. Favorite video game. If you Google Caleb Jones blog wait, what do you got to Google now? We moved it. alphamail20.com space top 10 computer games. I did an article a few years ago on my top 10 computer games of all time, going all the way back to the 80s when I started playing computer games. I ranked my top 10. My number one all-time, not right now, all-time game is Baldur's Gate 2. It's my number one all-time. There are better games in terms of graphics now, but for the time, that was like what, 2000, 1999, 2000? Amazing. Very few games have come even close to that since then. Gaming, by the way, is an industry just like most other industries where it's sucked now. You see all these YouTube videos about from gamers now, like gaming sucks now. Gaming's in a dark age. All the games suck now. It sucks to be a gamer now. Yeah, just like Hollywood, just like movies, just like TV shows, everything sucks now. Cultural collapse. Correct. My second favorite game, if you're curious, is Civilization 5. Oh my God. I want to play that right now. I got shit to do though. So I got a lot of fun games. If you want my favorite game that is somewhat recent, that would be Alien Isolation. Incredible game. Incredible. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe they were allowed to make it. because it's completely canon and accurate to the Alien movies, which they don't do anymore. And I guess that was a few years ago, right? 2015, right? Something like that, I forget. Great game. God damn, it was a good game. Holy shit. I could do a whole thing on video games, right? Let's see. What is your top 5 must-read for business? Well, you can Google calebjones.com space top 17 business books, and you can read the article there. Top 5. Let's see if we can do a top 5 really quick, off the top of my head. Maximum Achievement by Brian Tracy. Winning Through Intimidation by Robert Ringer. How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World, Harry Brown. That's not business, but I consider it as important. Those are kind of my big 3. Let's see, there's 3. Oh, E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber for business. Let's see, number 5 for business specifically. That's a tough one. I'm thinking of like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but that's not business. That's more success. I'd have to think about that. Well, there's 4. So go read that article. What do you think about 5G towers? Dangerous for health or 2% rule? EMF radiation from cell phones, etc. Okay, I have not done a lot of research on this, so I am not someone to ask about this. What little I have seen, I put it in the 2% rule, yes. Yes. EMF radiation from cell phones and things like that. Now, on that is a little different. I have read a lot of anti-aging research, and there is some evidence to suggest that not just cell phones, but anything with a strong electric field close to your body, especially close to your head, is not a good idea. For example, Ray Kurzweil, and I started doing this too. Ray Kurzweil stopped using an electric razor every day because it has an electric field and it's right by your face, right by your head, right by your brain. So he switched to a blade. I did too. I switched to a blade, I don't know, many years ago now. When I read that and read the research, I was like, yeah, I don't have my cell phones near my face. I don't want anything with a strong electrical field near my face. This microphone's near my face, but this isn't a strong electrical field. I don't think. I mean, this is barely, has enough electricity, these little lights on it. That's about it. So that's okay. But even this, I don't do this all the time. So yeah, I do pay somewhat attention to that, but I don't go crazy about it and be like that guy on, what's his name? The Keaton guy on Better Call Saul, who keeps everything away from him, all the electrical shit. And you can buy these meshes to wear under your clothes. Do you know how many radio signals are going through your body right now? Right now, as you watch this video or listen to me on this podcast, there are millions or thousands of radio signals going right through your fucking body. It's normal. It's okay. But yeah, I pay attention to a little bit of it in terms of the face and the head. Hang on, need a drink. I just recorded my Alpha Male 2.0 AMA. I finished that up this morning. Now I'm doing this. So I'm talking a lot today. What are your objections to UBI, Universal Basic Income, knowing that AI will put millions out of work? I have addressed this at my blog several times. I'm happy to do so again. Number 1, top of the list. The laws of economics do not change because of robots. Okay? The laws of economics do not change because AI. So a lot of people who are pro-UBI will say, well, we have to do something because everyone's going to be out of business. When automation comes, all the truck drivers will lose their jobs and all these people lose, and no one will be able to work. So we have to have UBI. That doesn't mean UBI will suddenly work. Communism doesn't work. Communistic economic practices don't work. They're against the laws of economics. They don't work long term. Short term, as I've said many times, everything works short term. Communism works great for a while until it doesn't. Real socialism works great for a while until it doesn't. Welfare state works for a while, especially if you're in the United States, works for a long time, but it doesn't work forever. It eventually collapses, okay? You know, monogamy works for a while. Everyone can be monogamous for a while. You can be monogamous for a year or two on my other channel, my other content. 57 years? No. Okay, so just because robots, AI, technology doesn't suddenly mean that Marxist, communistic economic practices suddenly now start working. AI will not change the laws of economics. UBI will still not work long term, okay? So it doesn't matter what reason you're doing it. It still doesn't work long term. And if you don't believe me, watch. The United States will do UBI. Canada, Western Europe, certainly. They will implement some sort of UBI as the collapse continues. And watch it destroy your country when it happens, including, yes, if you re-elect Trump. It's still going to happen, okay? I mean, it kind of de facto already happened in the pandemic, didn't it? Did it work? Do you know all of the welfare checks, EBT checks, STIMI checks, all that stuff that they found people were withdrawing at ATMs at casinos? How much money is just wasted when you give people free money like that? It's stupid. Now, what I did say on my blogs, what I would be for is a free market version of UBI. So what that would look like is you have in the future, not today, in the future when you have these trillionaires, these Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos type guys, and they're trillionaires. Billionaires and trillionaires, for the most part, do not want to live in a society where there's a few billionaires and trillionaires, and then the other 95% of the population are a bunch of barbarian orcs living in the streets. They don't want that. So you could see a scenario, and I would be for this, where they voluntarily, the billionaires, trillionaires, not millionaires, not even billionaires, the high-end, 300, 400 plus billionaires and trillionaires voluntarily of their own free will, because it's their money, not the government's money, get together and say, hey, let's implement some kind of UBI and let's do it smart because it's not the government. And they'll say things like, okay, and here's how I would do it. I wouldn't give you cash. That's fucking stupid. That's why it's so stupid that men have to give women cash for child support. You shouldn't have to pay cash. You should just pay for their clothes, buy little cards for the grocery store, pay for their rent. Don't give the woman money and then she could go buy a new stereo and hang out with her boyfriend with the money. That's stupid. So instead of giving you cash, the way I would do it is, for the billionaires, we'll pay for your apartment rent. You're going to have 2 roommates. You're going to live in a studio apartment with 2 other people. Okay. We'll get you Wi-Fi internet connection. We'll get you 2 or 3 shirts, 2 or 3 pants. We'll get you a little card for the bus, local transportation. Not give you a car. We'll pay for your food. We'll pay for your food, not give you money. We'll pay for your food. We'll give you Netflix, maybe a TV that you share, and a few other, and that's it. You'll get cash. And if you want cash, go get a fucking job or start your own business. So that would be okay if they voluntarily did it. But if you let the government do it, you're fucked. That'll just speed up the collapse. And it doesn't matter about AI. AI doesn't change the laws of economics. Let's see. Can you offer any advice or guidelines as to pricing consulting fees? Okay, then he writes, oh my God, dude, you write like 3 paragraphs of shit. Okay, your question is way too long. I'm not going to read your giant long question. It's like 3 or 4 paragraphs of stuff. So I'll give you the bottom line. It's called value-based pricing. This is pioneered by Alan Weiss, who you should read if you're going to be a consultant. Alan Weiss, a lot of good books. Value-based pricing means that you go to the prospect and you say, what is your problem? The prospect tells you. And then you say, about how much money is that problem costing you per year? And if you say, I don't know, you say, well, guess. I don't know, $500,000, at least $500,000 a year we're probably wasting because of this problem. Okay, so Mr. Prospect, if I help you solve that problem, your company would be $500,000 more profitable this year, approximately, right? Yeah, that's about right. Great. So now you have a basis from which to make your proposal. So you make your proposal, you send the proposal the next day, and your fee is $74,000. And in the proposal it says, you're going to make $500,000, you pay me $74,000. Instead of just saying, my fee is $74,000, they go, what the fuck? You don't do that. You base it on the value you're producing for that company. Now, you can say in the proposal, now let's say we're wrong, because he might say this, well, maybe we don't get 500. All right, let's say we're 50% off. You only make $250,000. Okay? My fee is $74,000. You still are making more than me, and I'll be in and out in 3 months. That's how you do it. And next time, write much shorter questions. I seem to remember that you mentioned in a previous Q&A that guys should have a company to set up even if they don't know what Alpha 2.0 business to start in order to reduce their taxes. No, I have not said that. That's what Billy has said. Even if they still... Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Okay, hang on. No, let me finish your question. Even if they still had a 9-to-5 job, can you elaborate on how this works? Okay, you're misquoting me slightly. What I said was... Please, and by the way, everything I'm about to say, check with your accountant, check with your accountant. This is not tax advice. Don't listen to me in terms of tax advice. Check with your accountant, please. In the United States and most other countries, you have to show an intent to produce a profit. So you can start a business where you have a full-time job with a business checking account or just a separate checking account used for business expenses. You don't need to set up an LLC or that stuff. Now, Billy would say you should start an LLC. I would say you don't need to until you start making money. And even if you don't make money the first year and you show a loss, you can write that off in your taxes, reduce your taxes somewhat, and that's legal. Now, you can't do that forever. You have to start making profit, I think, within 3 years. So for 3 years, now you can't, write off and write off and write off, then cancel the company and say, oh, just kidding. That's not good. To show an intent to create a profit, and eventually you have to start making money. So that's how you can reduce your taxes before you even start making money. Now, that's obviously not the goal. In the 90-Day Business Builder program we have, 90daybizbuilder.com, we get you making money within 3 months. I think you should start making money within a few months or less. Don't wait. Don't make this habit. Don't use this as an excuse to just not make money for 2 years. That's fucking dumb. But that's what I was talking about. My advice is, and Billy's advice is different, is that my advice is you do not set up an LLC or corporation until you're making at least $2,500 each a month already. But you can. And some guys do, and that's okay. It doesn't hurt to start it earlier. And if Billy was sitting here, she'd say, no, start it immediately. Do it right. Cool. Besides moving out of the Western world and renouncing my Western country citizenship, would you say being wealthy is the next best defense against CBDCs? Being wealthy is a defense against everything. Being wealthy, as I've talked about in prior videos, is a defense against the entire collapse. Yes. Who have I said will be okay during this dark age? There are 2 categories of men. Number 1, men who are hyper flexible. Number 2, men who are wealthy, meaning you have a net worth of more than $10 million outside the value of your primary residence. So if you have a net worth of $10 million outside the value of your home, net worth, okay, you'll probably be fine no matter what happens. It's just reality. So it's not just a defense against CBDCs, defense against everything. Now, obviously, you would not want that $10,000 in US dollars with CBDCs coming. For now, you can. The US dollar, I don't think is going to collapse anytime soon. It will collapse in our lifetimes, but not anytime soon. But yeah, the answer is yes. It's a defense against all kinds of things. So get wealthy. For those of you who want to be wealthy, a lot of you don't care. A lot of you don't want to be wealthy. A lot of you don't want to work that hard. That's fine. You guys need to make $85,000 a year location dependent. That's what you need to do. For you guys who are more like me, and you want to be wealthy, have a lot of money, that should be one of your goals. $10 million net worth outside the value of your home. And then whatever income goal is conducive to that. That gets into a more complicated discussion. And to be fair, I've said before, I don't have a net worth goal. I have an after-tax monthly residual income goal, which I think is better than having a net worth goal. Topic for another time. Unless I get asked about that in this EMA. Thank you for everything you do for the community. You're welcome. In one of your YouTube videos, you talked about some businesses you would start in Africa, such as water reclamation systems, internet, etc. The question is what country in Africa exactly would someone go if they wanted to start one of these businesses? Go on my Sovereign CEO YouTube channel and search on Africa, and that video will come up. I list about 8 countries that I recommend. B, how much would someone need to get started? I can't answer these, again, general questions. How can I possibly answer that question when I don't know what business it is? So I don't know. Some money, not much. Africa, you know what? Another great thing about Africa, it's really cheap. You don't need much. You might not need anything. I mean, if you did it my way, you would start nothing. You'd start some kind of consultancy or coaching practice or some kind of service. We didn't need to hire anybody or implement anything, and I would just start making phone calls. You wouldn't need any money. You'd living expenses. That's it. Time for some more agua. Hang on. Okay. I am currently waiting to get my Canadian passport before I leave the collapsing Western world and go to Africa. Oh, you're the same guy. Okay, cool. 1 second. I will get my passport in 2024. Okay? If everything goes well, and I'm planning on leaving in 2025. All right. Do you think it's a bad idea to leave immediately after receiving my passport, or it doesn't really matter? It doesn't really matter, and I would do the same thing. If your goal, I don't know if you're from a third world country, if your goal is to get that Western passport, and I'm glad it's not an American passport because then they won't tax you when you leave, okay? Then yeah, I would get the passport. I would leave as soon as I could. So if you have to physically be residing and living in Canada to receive that passport, then fine, I would stay. If you don't have to, if you could leave sooner, come back and pick up the passport, then leave again, fine. Otherwise, yes, I would stay, get my passport, and get the fuck out. I would leave as soon as I could. When guys always ask me, when would you recommend I leave this country? As fast as you can. That's always my answer if it's a Western country. You're living in a collapsing civilization. We're living in civilizational collapse. Why would you stay? The only compelling reason, I've said this many times, the only compelling reason you have to stay in the United States is that you have small children well under the age of 18, you're divorced from baby mama, and you can't make her go. And you got to be there for your kids. Small children. I have grown kids. Those don't count. Small kids. Most of you have no kids. Don't have that fucking excuse. Very few of you have that excuse. Okay? That's the only valid excuse I can think of. Okay? So if you don't have that excuse, get the fuck out now, as soon as you can. And if you want to stay, you need to watch my video at my Sovereign CEO channel on the 6 things you must do if you stay. There's 6. I should probably update that video. I should probably do another version of that. The 6 things you need to do. One of them is you can't live anywhere near a city. Sorry. Get out of the cities. You're going to stay in the collapsing USA, Canada. Collapsing USA, cuckoo Canada, suicidal Europe, authoritarian Australia. You can't live anywhere near a city. Dumbass, get out of there. Pay off your debt. You need a location-independent business that doesn't rely on people in your country. I go through the whole thing. Okay. I want to make high-ticket sales for health and fitness coaching. Do not recommend fitness as a niche. I don't recommend it. I've not recommended this for many times I've talked about this. You have to be micro niche, otherwise get out of there. It's too saturated. Would the 9-day business builder be able to guide me from that point, establish a niche, marketing, sales strategy, etc.? That is exactly what we do. We spend a month and a half on nothing but niche. And we would all tell you to avoid fitness unless you could prove to us you had something micro weird niched. I doubt it. We would have you move into something related, but not that. Healthcare is okay, but it's still, you gotta be, healthcare is not a niche. But the answer is yes, that is exactly what we do in the 9-day business builder. You'll be making money within 90 days. We work with you forever until you do. What resources, let me check my technology here. How are we doing? Okay, we're good. What resources do you recommend for gaining residency in the Philippines? That is not one of my flags for anything, so I can't answer that question. I wish I could. I don't know. If you're watching the YouTube video, there are lots of guys in my audience who do have residency in the Philippines. I have actually someone on my team who has residency there. Maybe one of you could comment below and help him out and let him know. I don't know. I have some ideas, but I don't want to give you incorrect information. It's not one of my flags. Again, I do not focus on the whole world. I follow my advice and I niche. I focus on the top 4 countries to get residency. Mexico, Paraguay, Armenia, and the United Arab Emirates. And soon, at some point, I'm going to add Uruguay. So Philippines is not one of my flags. Although Philippines is a good flag. It's a great flag. Great flag. Great flag for women, lifestyle, cost of living. It's great. It's great. Thoughts on Australia collapsing after the USA? I don't know. So I have said, and I don't think I have radically changed this opinion or this analysis, that Australia and New Zealand will not collapse, but not improve. They will stagnate. And my metaphor is they will float like a turd in the pool, which is what they're going to do. They're not going to do well. It's going to be awful in Australia, but it's not going to collapse. So I think Australia/New Zealand are just going to be awful forever and just stay awful, but not collapse. That's my best guess. I think I'm right about that. Reasons. Why, Caleb? Well, the amount of debt, not consumer debt, but government debt is much less than the collapsing Western world, which helps. The consumer debt is insane in Australia. You guys are nuts in Australia. But the government debt is not horrible. It's bad, but it's not horrible. And you have proximity to Asia, and Asia's rising. You have proximity to Southeast Asia, which is rising. You have proximity to China. You have proximity to a lot of places. Malaysia, Indonesia is going to go fucking crazy in a good way. So it's very close to that Asian money. A lot of Chinese money in Australia, New Zealand, as you probably know if you live there. Okay. So all that stuff will help it not collapse. It won't do well. I wouldn't live there. I wouldn't pay those taxes in that woke environment. I wouldn't fucking live in Australia or New Zealand. I tried many, many years ago. I've told my stories about what happened. So no. Here's my story of what happened real quick, those of you who don't know. Australia, the Australian government said, if I were to use Australia as a living flag and be there a few months a year, they would tax my worldwide income at over 40% for the months that I was there. Even if I was there 1 month a year. Insane. I said, fuck you. And I was out. They actually said this. They said, Caleb, we're going to do it. Not guaranteed to do it, but there's precedent. We've done it before. F you, I'm out. So then I went to New Zealand. This is many years ago. New Zealand. And they were more clear. They were more structured. If you stay in New Zealand less than 6 months a year, and you could prove you're domiciled somewhere else, they will not charge you tax. You just got to be out of the country max 182 days per year. However, to get a visitor's visa, the visitor's visa expires in 9 months. Or I don't remember how the math worked, but every 18 months, I would no longer be able to get a visitor visa to go back to New Zealand unless I waited a year. So I really could use it as a living flag. So the visa was impossible. And if I tried to get actual legal residency, I'd have to pay taxes. If I try to get citizenship, I'd have to pay a lot of taxes. So I'm like, so Australia and New Zealand clearly do not want new residents there. They don't want them. They don't want them unless they're James Cameron or something. They want visitors. They want tourists, but they don't want people moving there. Now, if you're a Trump supporter, you might consider that a good thing. Maybe that is a smart thing. Maybe. But that means you shouldn't live there. Caleb, without necessarily having to be a country you do a 5 flags with and you'd a home in it unless you were a billionaire. This is his question. Let me read this again. Caleb, without necessarily having to be a country you'd do a 5 flags with and you'd a home in it unless you were a billionaire, what are currently your top 10 favorite countries you visited so far? And please briefly give 5 or 6 reasons for each favorite country. Jesus Christ, I'm not doing all that. Named, and what are your currently 10 worst and most disappointing countries you visited so far, and do the same thing. I'm not doing all that, okay? I'll give you a few of my favorite countries, a few of the countries I didn't like. And again, I don't view the world in terms of countries. I view the world in terms of cities. And I've said this many times. If you have never been to the United States in your life and you visit New York City for a week, have you visited the USA? No, you visited New York. Is New York the USA? No. If you visited Beijing, China, did you visit China? Hell no, you visited Beijing. So I'll give you cities, not countries. Favorite city in the world is a tie between Hong Kong and Shanghai. City, not country. Love them. Now, you're asking about 5 flags, though. Would I live in Shanghai? No, I would not. Especially now. Shit. Hong Kong is not as good as it used to be. Hong Kong's collapse began in about 2019. Few years before the pandemic. It's going to be a very slow collapse, though. It's going to take many decades. It'll take a long time. But Hong Kong isn't what it used to be, but I still like Hong Kong. I'll be back there in 2024. I'm doing a lot of Asian stuff. Third favorite city, right here, Dubai. Even before I moved here, before I had any intention of moving here, this was my 3rd favorite city in the world to visit, Dubai. Other countries I like. I love visiting, not a flag of any kind. I love visiting London. I love visiting the UK, visiting and then leaving. Don't live there. Don't have any money there. If you live in the UK, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Get the fuck out. But I like visiting there. A lot of places I like. Obviously, I love Paraguay. Okay. I love visiting, not living there, not using a flag. I love visiting Buenos Aires. Cool place to visit and then get the fuck out. Countries that I was not impressed with. Paris, France. Not impressed at all. What are the countries I've been to? And, I've been to very few countries where I'm like, wow, this sucks. I don't think I've ever had that experience where I visited countries that this is terrible. I hate this country. I've been to many countries where I didn't like as much as I thought I would. Like Buenos Aires is one. Tokyo, Japan. I like it. I thought I would love Japan. I thought I would just fall in love with Japan and beautiful women, but I didn't fall in love. I'm like, oh, this is fine. The first time I went to Tokyo, Japan, I was there for a week. And within, I went to Shanghai, China for a week, and then Tokyo, Japan for a second week, for a 2-week trip. Loved Shanghai, couldn't believe it. Oh, I didn't want to leave. Oh my God, fell in love with it. Love Shanghai. Shanghai's great. Pudong district specifically. Then I went to Tokyo, was there for a week. By day 4, I was ready to go. I'm like, okay, this is good. I can leave now. I had to stay another 3 days. I'm like, So I liked it, but didn't love it. So, interesting. I never really considered the fact I've never been to a country that I didn't like. I've liked them all. I love the world. The world is great. It's a great place. With all due respect, my question is, why rich people are always fewer in population than poor people, and can it be reversed? That's very simple. Approximately 91% of rich people started out as poor people and worked very hard and became rich. This is something the left-wingers do not understand or don't want to talk about. Only 9% of people that you would consider rich inherited any money. The left-wing woke narrative is that all rich people are lazy fucks who inherited all their money. I didn't inherit my money. I was born in a lower middle-class family. I had to work for my money. So I'm an example of this. So 91% of rich people started out as poor people, and they got off their dumb asses and got to work, something that most of you are not willing to do, particularly if you're Gen Z or millennial. You don't want to work. You think that's bullshit to work. Okay, then don't. That is why poor people or middle-class people vastly outnumber rich people. Most people are not willing to do the things that it requires to become wealthy. And that's always been the case. And I think that's normal. If you think about it, that's probably normal. It'd be odd if 80% of the population was just ass-kicking workaholics like me, and just, it would be strange. I mean, that'd be cool, but that's just not the human condition. So can it be reversed? No, it can never be reversed. How can you make lazy people get off their asses and work? Believe me, I've tried. I stopped trying many years ago, but for a big part of my life, I tried to get people, clients, people I knew, people in my audience, to get off their asses and get to work and build an amazing life. They don't want to. They don't want to. Even if they say they want to, they don't. They don't. They don't. So that's why. That's the answer. It's a very simple answer. And again, you got to resist the left-wing narrative or the MGTOW narrative of rich people are all rich because they did nothing and they got lucky and they inherited their money and they were born into rich families. That's only about 9%. Look at the data if you don't believe me. Look it up yourself. It's about 9%. By the way, I've said this before. Let me adjust myself here. I don't want to crack my chair. I have said before, and this is true, some of the biggest losers I have ever met are rich guys who inherited their money, who were born into wealth and inherited their money. Losers. These people are losers. I mean, I could do a whole thing on Trump's children. Those guys are losers. And I'm not referring to them specifically. People I've known, fucking losers. These rich guys who inherit. So I agree somewhat with left-wingers who have this thing about, people inherit their money. The problem is left-wingers think it's most rich people. It's only 9%. But I've met a lot of those 9%. They're dorks. They're losers. All kinds of problems in their life. It's lame. It sucks. I had to think this through when my income was climbing up about my kids. I don't want to fuck up my kids either with a bunch of money. I don't have bazillions of dollars. But I thought about this. I watched an interview once with Arnold Schwarzenegger many years ago. And he was asked about his kids. And the guy said, are your kids going to be as motivated as you? And he goes, no, they're not. They're born into wealth. So, of course, they will never be as motivated as me, ever. They will never be as hardworking as me. They were born into it. So and he said, my goal for them is to be very good people, to be very highly educated, to involve in a lot of charitable work, give back to society. That's what I want for my children, not that I want to be ass-kicking business owners. That's why I haven't really helped my kids very much financially. My son has built his own business, lives a full sovereign CEO lifestyle. It's great. He's able to do that because I didn't hand him a bunch of cash. So there you go. Hi, Caleb. I appreciate all the content you put out. You're very welcome. If you lost everything in 2023, income, savings, wife leaves, fallout with family, etc. Jesus Christ, that'd be weird, huh? And had to move back to the U.S., I would not move back to the U.S. Fuck you, I'm not moving back to the U.S. What is the first thing you would do to start building back your location-independent lifestyle? Now, first of all, this would never happen because I have multiple companies in multiple niches and multiple income streams. So the odds of all those companies suddenly going to zero all at the same time, bazillions to one. I could lose some income streams or some businesses I have. That's happened. But I always have other businesses, other income streams to bully me. So you want to be diversified in your income streams, diversified your income. I've used this analogy many times. Everyone has a spare tire in their car, right? No one has a spare income. I would argue a spare income is much more important than a goddamn spare tire. I'd rather have a spare income and no spare tire. Okay? So I have many spare incomes. Now, that doesn't mean something horrible could happen. If the United States collapsed tomorrow morning, I would feel it. I wouldn't be fucked like most of you, but I would feel it. I would take a hit in my income, yeah. And I would have to make some adjustments in my life, but I'd be okay because I'm 5 flagged. I don't live in the U.S., and I have multiple income streams. So anyway, but going along with your hypothetical, I hate hypotheticals, but okay. What would I do? The very first thing I would do, I've written at least one article about this, I think two, is I would get on the phone and contact everyone I knew through my past business associations, and I would either sell them something or I'd offer to sell their things for a big fat commission. People I know, business owners, and I know many, who sell high margin products and services like me, and I would take a 40%, 30% cut, and I would just be a salesperson for a while. So I do, and I could do all that location dependent. Build a website, drive traffic to it, and I'd get on the phone. I would get on the phone and I'd call people. Like I said earlier in this AMA, I'd get on the fucking phone and I would make deals. I would be back to, maybe not 7 figures, maybe back to 6 figures really fast. Really fast. I mean really fast. Within a month, I'd be back. As many people have stated, including people like Alex Hormozi, you can't lose your skills. No one can take your skills away from you. Okay? And as long as you don't fuck it up, your reputation. If you list everything I lose, income, wife, savings, family, I wouldn't lose my reputation, right? More or less. So I have that too. Only you can fuck your reputation. So I would have my reputation, more or less, and I have all my skills. I'd have all my contacts, I have all that stuff. Even if I didn't have contacts, but I would still make it work. And I would not move back to the United States. I might move to Paraguay, might move there for cheaper. I wouldn't go out to the US. Why the fuck would I do that? I have a copyright on a fun chess-like board game that college kids, you capitalize every word in your question. Why did you do this? It makes it hard to read. What the hell? You're weird. I have a copyright on a fun chess-like board game that college kids love to play. Okay, that's cool. And I also have many other similar games under development which work well as both physically mass-produced games and also as online games. I can produce both. How would you advise me to market all these from games in either form? How would you... Whoa, okay, hang on a second. My phone went crazy here. Hang on a sec. There we go. Let's see. So you said physical and online. Okay, well, I'll give advice. I always give advice if I woke up in your shoes. I woke up and now I'm in your shoes. I would focus completely on the online game. I would not do the physical game because that's a lot more fucking work. So I would purchase the online game and I would run ads, and I would find a niche of the type of person who loves that game. You said college kids, okay? Not a great niche because they don't have a lot of money. So I'd have picked rich college kids or college kids going to Harvard. I would narrow the niche a little bit and I would run ads. Facebook ads specifically, I can't talk. YouTube ads, Facebook ads, and Instagram ads. I'd run those. Very targeted to a very narrow segment it wouldn't be just any guy looking for whatever, looking for a game. Very narrowly targeted. Men, if it's chess like you're dealing with men, not women, okay? That's what I would do. I'd run ads. And I would blow my brains out with ads. And I would watch ROI. I would track every number, every step in terms of click-through rate, conversion rates, all that stuff. Upsell rates. I would be tracking all those numbers like a hawk daily. And I'd be adjusting as I go. That's what I would do. Then once I was making a profit, hardcore, reliable profit on those ads from the online game, then I would slowly start selling the physical game as a second income stream. But that might take a while. Because that's more complicated and less margin. When helping clients set up an online business, do you expect them to already have their own business ideas? No. The 90-Day Business Builder is for people who have no idea what to do. That's who it is designed for. Or do you also inform them about online business ideas such as affiliate marketing that you know really well? I do not focus on affiliate marketing. That would be Igor. Talk to Igor. His course on affiliate marketing is probably the best on the internet. So you want to talk to Igor Kafitz. No, what we focus on are 5 tracks. We focus more on 3 of them, but 5 tracks: consulting, coaching, selling an online course, selling some sort of business service or personal service, or selling some sort of membership. Those 5. Those are high margin, and you can make money with those fast. So we focus just on those. We do not focus on things like writing an ebook because that takes a while. We want you making money within 90 days. Can you make money selling an ebook in 90 days? No, it'll take you 6 months to write the goddamn thing. Maybe. So hard products, same thing. You can make money selling hard products. Can you make good money in 3 months selling hard products? Probably not. Nothing wrong with that. Just these are better. When will the next crypto bull market be, in your opinion? I have no idea. Well, I think Bitcoin's going up now, so we're starting another bull run now, most likely. Do you think Bitcoin will go over 100,000 in the next bull? Maybe. I know that's not the answer you want to hear. I can't say, oh, yeah, probably, or oh, probably not, because it really is 50-50 on this one. Maybe it might, but it might not. I mean, I'm putting it like 50-50. So I have my Bitcoin. I sold my gold last year. Not all my gold. I sold a hunk of gold last year, bought in Bitcoin at about 20K. It's at about 28K right now as I record this video. I'm not selling yet. Not selling yet. I'll wait a while before I sell, but I will sell again because I don't lose money. Let's see. Did you get YouTube creator insurance in case you get sued? Not specifically, no, but I have various things in place to protect me from getting sued that I cannot disclose publicly. Bottom line, you try to sue me, you ain't getting shit. I will be laughing my ass off. No one has tried, but you, good luck. Let's see. Caleb, you previously mentioned your African-American adopted son lives in Mexico and has location-dependent business. Correct. All correct. Can you please elaborate on what this business is, if he's financially independent in it, if he's making $200K a year or more, and also what his niche is, or if he's not doing a niche business thing? He is doing a niche. So he is an online marketing company, social media and ads, mostly ads. His niche was real estate agents, but I think he has shifted that in the last year or two. So I don't know what his niche is right now. I couldn't answer that question. I'm not sure. It was real estate agents. Did pretty well with that for a while. I don't know what it is now. Oh, my nose itches. Yeah, I don't know, but I know he's niched. Is he financially independent? You mean location? Financially independent? No. Location independent? Yes. He is location independent. Yes. If he's making $200,000 a year or more, I'm quite sure he's making more than that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm quite sure he's making more than that. I mean, he does individual months where he makes like $35,000. So yeah, I'm quite sure he's making more than $200,000 a year. Let's see. Yeah. And he is, for the record, he is 30. Shit. How old is he? 32. I always forget how old my kids are because it changes every year. I lose track. I think he's 32 and my daughter is 24. 25? Shit. I'm a bad father. I talk to my kids all the time too. I just never give a shit about how old they are. And once I know how old they are, a year or two ago, I'll forget. I'm not like a mom who knows her exact kid's age at all times. So he's in his early 30s. My daughter's in her mid-20s. Should I roll in the 90-day business builder if I have limited professional skills, have no clue what area to specialize in, and if I ultimately want to establish a business, marketing, design, manufacturing my own products? The first two, yes. Should you enroll if you have limited professional skills? Yes. Should you enroll if you have no idea what to specialize in? Yes. Should you enroll if you want to design, manufacture your own hard products? No. We will not help you with that because we can't get you making money on that within 90 days. Now, that being said, when you schedule your phone call to get into the program, if you say to us, look, I understand I will not be making money probably in 90 days, and I'm not worried about I'm going to waive the guarantee policy. I really want to do hard products. I really want to join this program. We will let you in. But we're not going to help you specifically on hard products. We're not. Everything else we will, but not hard products. Thanks a lot from me, Caleb team, for the AAA content. You're very welcome. Getting a lot of compliments. You guys are very sweet. You guys are sweethearts. Let me check the recording over here. Are we still good? Still good. All right, cool. Thanks for doing a live AMA and answering our questions. Well, this isn't live, but you're welcome. My wife and I run a real estate services company. We have talked about operating rentals recently, but every day all I can see is the constant decline of the U.S., and people not be able to make rent or afford housing. Correct. The United States in particular is moving away from a house culture to an apartment culture. Soon, no Americans or very few Americans will be able to afford homes because of the economics of the United States as it goes through further stages of collapse. And the only people who buy homes now are these giant corporations like BlackRock who rent them out to people. So you're moving more to an apartment culture and less to a home culture as the collapse of the United States continues. And I'm sure if you reelect Donald Trump, he'll snap his fingers and magically fix all of that. So make sure you reelect Donald Trump, you Trump idiots. So we are looking for other avenues and countries to live in. Good. You're smart. Thank you. We are looking for the following country and both in our mid-40s. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm looking at your big list. These are one of the questions I get usually from listigs. I don't know if you're a listig or not. Sounds like you're making money, so probably not. Where you list, I want a country that is low taxes, low cost of living, super hot girls, perfect weather all year, high tech, zero crime, all these things. And I'm like, no country like that exists on earth. I'm sorry. So let's see if we run into this with your list. Freedom. Vaccines were not required during the pandemic. Well, very few countries required vaccines. That's very rare. They required other things like, PCR tests, but not vaccine. That's very rare. Territorial tax country, growing country, friendly people, great healthcare, low cost of living, English speaking, warm climate year round, preferably Mediterranean if possible, not humid, little to no natural disasters. The closest country you're coming to on this, the closest one you're coming to is Paraguay, based on my skill set. Great healthcare, probably not. So minus that. There are some good hospitals there made for Westerners, but if you want amazing healthcare, you'd have to travel for that. And it's not English speaking. Sorry. It's going to be only 1 out of 10 people speak English there. Warm climate year round, yes. Little to no natural disasters, yes. Friendly people, safe country, yes. Growing country, yes. Territorial tax, yes. Freedom, So most of those things are yes. There is no country on earth that has all of those things. I'm sorry. And by the way, for those of you in the future who ask me, Caleb, I'm looking for a country that has these qualities. You list 6, 7, 8 perfect qualities. My answer will always be there's no such country as that. I'm sorry. You're living in a fantasy land. You have one country that has most of those things. You have to have a second backup country that has the other things. That's what I did. There you go. Time for more water. Hang on. If you were starting out Five Flags and a young Californian, oh my God, you live in California? Whew. Age 28, and women dating was the important criterion for your residency flag, which country in your travel experience has the most concentration of white women? Oh, here's another of these questions. White women who are traditional, feminine, submissive. White women are not submissive anywhere in the world. Some are traditional, that'd be Eastern Europe. But they're not submissive. Eastern European women being submissive? No. So you're living, again, like the other guy, you're living in a fantasy world. They are all over the place in the States and suicidal West Europe, but good luck finding one who is feminine/traditional. That's right. No. Feminine, yes. Traditional, yes. Submissive, no. You're giving me 3 qualities here. Traditional, feminine, submissive. You don't get all 3 if you want a white girl. Now, if you want a Latina girl or an Asian girl, especially Asian girl, yeah. Traditional, feminine, submissive, Asian girls. But if you want a whitey, you're going to have to delete submissive. Okay? With rare exception. Pink Firefly is submissive. She's not, when I talk about the 3 types of women, I'm talking about alpha male 2.0 content a little bit here. Maybe I should have moved this question over to the other one. Dominant, independent, submissive. She's a submissive, but she's not traditional. She's married to me. I have a non-monogamous marriage. Oops. So, Or my SOL, yes, I need to focus on Latin American countries for something close to the snow beauties. It depends on how hardcore you are on feminine and traditional and submissive. If you must have all 3 of those, yes, you have to either focus on white women and find the needle in the haystack, because I'm sure those women exist in the white cultures in like Eastern Europe, but you have to go through a lot of girls to find that one, or Asia, not South, in Latin America, maybe. Latin America, sure. Asia would be better for you. Yeah. That probably should have been on my other AMA. We should have moved it to the other list. I watched one of your shorts where you said to get real estate in economies that will grow this century, not stagnate or contract. Okay, yes. That means Latin American, Southeast Asian, or Emirate countries for sure. Correct. Of course, the return on your seed investment is higher, but how does a Westerner invest in these real estate markets, especially a place like Colombia, where you have to buy properties in cash? Yes, if you're a Westerner buying land or real estate in another country, you're going to need to pay cash. That's correct. These banks do not lend on right. You're not going to go to a Colombian bank and have them lend you money if you're an American. That's correct. These banks do not lend on properties like American banks, which defeats the purpose of leveraging bank money to increase ROI and lower risk. I mean, can you borrow from the State Bank of China and invest in Thai apartment buildings? No. And a way to build wealth, since China will be the next superpower and less likely have a bank run. So you're right. That is correct. If you're going to buy land or a real estate in foreign lands where you are not a resident, you're not a citizen, not even a resident, resident maybe, you're not going to make that work. Now, the best thing you could do, you do this here in Dubai, you can move to that country full time, become a legal resident. Now you got to watch tax laws. Like Colombia, you're going to be dinged for taxes. Become a real resident, wait a year, and then you can go apply for bank accounts and banks and possibly loans at that country at that level. You could do that. If it's worth it to you to do all that shit, you could do that. Otherwise, yeah, you're paying cash. Sorry. That's the way it works. I have said several times, I may have even said this in that short, buying land or real estate in foreign countries is an advanced level 5 flags thing. It is not for beginners. It is not for intermediates. It's for advanced level dudes, guys at my level or above. That's very complex. There's a lot of variables. It requires a lot of travel on your part. You really got to know what you're doing. Your only other option is to do something like Invest Asian, Reed Kirkenbauer, guys like that, where you invest in a fund. You hand him some money and he goes and buys, properties in Vietnam and Cambodia, Thailand, stuff like that, and you get a return, you get an investment. That's the next best thing. Not as good as owning real estate. Okay, but that's the next best thing. Yeah, sorry, that's the way it goes. How are we doing? We're doing good. Is it easy to sell gold for spot prices down in Paraguay, Latin America? Is it easy? It's not complicated. Sure. Do you like British gold sovereign and Canadian maple leaf coins? Yes, I do. I do like those. Do I own those? I own maple leafs. I don't think I own British sovereigns anymore. I did. Don't have those anymore. I definitely have Canadian maple leafs. Yeah, I do like those. Some people don't like those because they're not easier. They're more likely to be counterfeited, like American Gold Eagles, but not as much. So yeah, I like them. Yeah. What do you think of London minus economics? Andrew Tate is right. The UK is a failed society, even if you minus economics. I mentioned earlier, I love visiting London. I have this magical, happy feeling when I visit London, not live there. When I visit, I love it. I think it's great. Minus economics. The women are not attractive. I'm sorry, they're not, unless they're from somewhere else. So you'll notice like the pickup artists who hang out in London always say, go for the women who are, foreigners. Yeah, because women in London, the food is a problem. The food is bad. I had to warn Pink Firefly the first time I took to London. Just be ready for this. The food in London sucks. It does? Yes. And we were there a few years ago. Oh my God. Ugh. I said, yeah. You can find good food in London if you look around and you work with locals and you ask people around. But just, restaurants, and it's just, I don't know what it is about London food. The people are very nice. They're very cool. They're very fun. I love people from the UK. I have many UK FBs in my personal life. I have a lot of friends who I know. I have people on my team from the UK. I love it. I love Brits. They're great. So I love London. It's just I wouldn't live there. Did you like the movie Office Space? And if so, why? I loved Office Space. Why? Because I lived it. My first job was working at a medium-sized software company called Central Point Software back in the early 1990s. It was a DOS. We produced DOS utilities. And I lived Office Space. I was in a cubicle. I had a boss like that. I had coworkers like that. One of the many reasons I quit to start my own business is I did not want to live a corporate lifestyle like that. So I related completely to everything in that movie. It was like a movie from my life. There's a few movies and TV shows that have come out throughout my life that were literally my life. Office Space was one. Season 1 of Stranger Things. I mentioned this in one of my blogs at the time. Season 1 of Stranger Things features a a bunch of 11-year-old boys in 1983. Guess what? I was an 11-year-old boy in 1983. And everything they did is exactly the shit that I did that year. And the clothes they wore, the haircuts they had was exactly how I looked. The lead little boy in the season 1 now, the later seasons, no. But in season 1, that lead kid, I forget his name, he looked just like me. I looked just like that kid. Playing Dungeons and Dragons, riding your bikes, playing video games on your Atari, walkie-talkies, going to school with your trapper keeper. I did all that shit. It was so strange to watch that. It was like watching a time warp back to my childhood. So Office Space was that kind of experience for me. Like, oh my, the first time I watched it, like, I lived this. It's also a really good contrast between bosses in the left-wing modern era versus bosses in the right-wing 1950s. So when you had a boss in corporate America back in the 1950s, he'd say, shut up, Dan, get back to your fucking cubicle. Shut the fuck up, get back to work. Okay, sorry, Mr. Jameson. But starting in the 90s, when the left took over Western civilization, your asshole boss was like, yeah, so if you could come in this weekend, that'd be great, okay? If you also stay on Sunday, that'd be great, okay? Have a good one. It's just funny to watch that funny transition between right and left cultures. It's great. You must be the same guy. Terminator 1 or 2, or why? That's really hard. The answer is Terminator 2. Terminator 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time. If you forced me to make a top 10 list of movies, which would be hard, Terminator 2 would be number 2 or 3 on that list, probably. However, the first Terminator movie is one of the best movies ever made in that genre or any genre. It's amazing. And we, because it's such an old movie now, we don't remember how good it is. I watched Terminator 1 in the movie theater when it came out in 1984 when I was a little kid. My dad used to take me to rated R movies and not tell my mom. So I'm a little kid watching this rated R shit and like the sex scene and all that stuff. And so I watched that shit in the theater. And that scene in the nightclub, Tech Noir, the way that scene, James Cameron constructed that scene to build the tension through music, through 3 different concentric storylines, through slow motion, through editing, it's perfect. That movie is perfect. And there are very few perfect movies in the world, and that's one of them. So Terminator 2 is a movie for the ages. You will, as I've said many times, you will never see a movie like that again. They can't make good movies anymore. They're not allowed to. Hollywood, A, doesn't know how to, and B, is not allowed to make good movies. They haven't since the late 2010s, when I stopped watching movies in earnest around 2017. So the best movies of my childhood, the best movies ever made, Raiders Lost Ark, these movies cannot be made today. So you have to go back and watch old movies. So yeah, Terminator 1 is the shit. Technically, Terminator 2 is better, a little. Do you have a blog post or previous video talking about the stats and reasons why the West is going to collapse? Many blog posts, and they are not organized, which is a frequent complaint from my audience. I remember you're going to say to do a new video going over that. When is that going to come out? That is still coming. I've been a little busy lately. It takes a lot of research. I have about 60, 70% of the research done. Then I got to plan out the video. Probably going to use that whiteboard over there. That video is coming. I need to do that video to deal with the nitpickers and haters who say, why is it collapsing? Well, go look at my blog. I'm not going to look at 10,000 blog articles to figure out that. So I'm going to put it all in one nice, neat little place for lazy people. And to be fair and to be honest, that video is not going to convince anybody. If you think hardcore America will be just fine, you're going to watch all the stats. I'm going to give you like 30 stats in that video with sources and links and everything. You won't be able to argue with any of the stats, but you still won't convince. You'll say, well, whatever, it'll be fine. So I'm not sure why I'm doing it, but I'm doing it because to be a completist, I should have that on my channel. So it's coming soon, next few weeks / months, but it's coming. Are you still working on improving yourself? Are you kidding? Yes. By that, I mean, are you learning any new skills? Are you kidding? Yes. If yes, which ones? Are you fucking kidding? Yes, you never stop improving. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? Yes. New skills that I'm learning right now. I am learning management skills, how to manage people and various groups, various teams, and project management at a very high level. It's a new skill set for me. I am learning this. It's been very difficult, but I'm learning. So that's one big skill I'm learning. I am learning joint venture coordination, focusing on JVs as a hardcore division in my companies, doing joint ventures where I sell my products to other people's audiences with their help and vice versa. Learning that. I've done that before, but never as a system. Learning that. In terms of weight loss and physical fitness, I am learning how to manage food and mindful eating and calories, and I'm still learning those. I learned a lot, but as you can tell from my face, I'm not there yet. So I'm learning that. How to deal psychologically with food. I'm learning that. It's a new skill set that I have learned a lot from, but I'm not there yet. Learning that. Improving on that. What else am I improving? That's it for the moment. So if you ask me this question 3 years from now, it'll be another set of things. I'm learning this, I'm learning that. You always have to keep improving until you're done. If you've literally accomplished all your goals in life, then you can sit on your ass and not improve. I'm not there yet. I won't be there for a while. You talked about how Dubai is more expensive than other Five Flags locations. In general, yes, there are more expensive places than Dubai, but yes. What would be a low ballpark figure for someone who wants to live there but not live in a $9,000 house? He's talking about my rent is $9,000 a month here from his house. Let's say a nice condo, gym membership. Well, here's the problem. What does nice condo mean? That means lot different people. So I don't know what you mean by nice. I don't know what you mean by nice. Gym membership, simple groceries, house cleaner, faster net, not in nightlife and partying good, with a bit of local travel sightseeing. What income in USD would work for Dubai? Thanks. Okay, let's go through your list. Nice condo. I don't know what nice means. If you see my apartment that I had in the marina part of town in Dubai, it's on my Sovereign CEO channel from about 2 years ago. That apartment was a 2-story, 2-bedroom apartment, and that ran me $2,800 USD a month. Now, prices have gone up since then, since the end of the pandemic and Putin's stupid war. So the prices have gone up a little bit, but that was in a cool high-rise, cool part of town. Not a great apartment, but it was decent size. So there you go. Gym membership are going to be slightly more expensive. The equivalent gym in the United States that might cost you $60 a month is going to run you about $100 a month here in Dubai. I go to a shitty gym, it's about $80 a month. If you want to go to a nice gym, like my wife goes to a nice gym, she spends about $120 USD a month. So it's a little more expensive. Simple groceries, more or less about the same if they're simple. House cleaner is cheap. House cleaner is super cheap. You can have a house cleaner come do your entire apartment for maybe $30 a week. If that, probably less. Housekeepers are really cheap here. Faster net is about the same price as you would expect in the United States. Not in a nightlife or partying, good. A bit of local travel sightseeing. None of that requires money. You can see all kinds of beautiful shit in Dubai for free. So there you go. What income in USD would work for Dubai? I just gave you kind of an idea. Not much. Don't need much. Since the U.S. is collapsing, would you recommend using Roth IRA funds and U.S. stocks to pay off credit card debt? So here is the standard model when I teach in terms of Alpha 2.0 financial structures and financial management. You should not have any debt, period. The only acceptable debt you should have is debt that actually spins off money for you every month net. So if you have a rental property and you make a profit of $1,000 a month on that and you own a mortgage on that, that's okay. Okay, or maybe a business loan on a business that's already making money. I have a business loan or two, but my companies make money. So it makes money for me. That debt makes money. Other than that, you should have zero debt. No college loans, no credit cards, no car loan, okay? No owning mommy or daddy, no debt, none. Therefore, if I woke up in your shoes and I had a bunch of debt and I had a bunch of stuff in an IRA, I would immediately, without even thinking about it, pull the money out of my IRA, pay the penalties, pay the taxes, and pay off all my debt. Now, here's the deal on this. If you think that's a silly idea, I want to ask you a question. Would you go to a bank to borrow $10,000 to put $10,000 into your IRA? Would you do that? No. Then you should do what I just said. If you don't do what I just said, that's what you're doing. You're borrowing money to put it in an investment. I can't think of anything more stupid. So the answer to your question is yes. whether or not America was collapsing. America could be prospering and booming like Dubai. I would give you the same advice. You shouldn't have any debt. So if I woke up in your shoes in your life and I had a big mountain of debt or some debt and I had a bunch of money in investments, day one, 8 a.m. the next day, I'd pull that money out and pay off all my debts. Period. Okay? So the answer is yes. Talked about this before. There are niche site builders on Twitter who seem to be experts at creating content that attracts a large amount of traffic. Yeah, I've seen some of that. Their monetization strategy is to basically put display ads on their site as well as some affiliate links. Yes, affiliate marketing, yeah. How would you change this business model to be more profitable and increase the number of revenue streams? Well, to be more profitable, you just have to look at, like I said earlier in this AMA, you look at the numbers. So how many clicks I'm getting, how many hits am I getting to that site per blank? What's the click-through rate of my ads? What's the conversion rate on my sales pages? You look at all those numbers and you make tweak changes to improve those numbers over time. That's what you do. How would you increase the number of revenue streams? Well, what I would do is I would master one website with one set of ads in one niche. I would master that, and then I would clone it and do it again in a different niche and just follow the same process, and then do it again, and then do it again. And I know guys who've done this. They just have all these different little websites that create a little bit of money per month, and they add it and they make thousands of dollars a month. Yeah. But these guys are, ruthless about the numbers like I just talked about. You got to watch all these numbers carefully. Hang on. Need some water. How are we doing over here? We're doing good. If you had to add percentages to each, how would you weigh these factors in your business success? Persistence, knowledge/acumen, and personality. Interesting question. Let's see. So I would say, it's a good question. You're making me think. Persistence is huge. I would say persistence is, by the way, here's a problem. You didn't put in item number 4, action. Well, I guess that would be persistence, wouldn't it? Yeah, so persistence. Persistence would be at least 60%, probably 70. So I got started right now, this company right now. The only reason I'm here talking to you right now is 13, 14 years ago, I started a little blog and I wrote blog posts 3 times a week for a year or two before anyone was reading. Very few human beings have the persistence and the balls and the strength to do this. They're too lazy. I haven't made money in 2 months. This is bullshit. I'm going to stop doing it. I didn't do that. I was on a mission. I'm on a mission. I want money. And I knew I was writing good stuff and I was doing it right into a niche. And I was already a successful business owner, so I knew this was going to work. And I was right. So persistence, let's say 65%, so 2/3, let's say. Knowledge, I would say would be, let's split the final third. So 15% knowledge, 15% personality. Maybe 20% personality, 10% knowledge, maybe. I'd have to think about that. That may not be exactly right, those numbers I just gave you, but that's close. Good question. You've referred to people with huge social media followings who don't make shit for cash. Oh, yes. I know many of these people, and I know of many more of these people. What are some of the most effective ways to convert social media followers into paying customers who hand over cold, hard cash? Well, you sell something high margin that solves a problem your followers have. So let's say I woke up in your shoes. I don't think it's you. Unless it is you, do you have a lot of social media followers you're not making any money on? So let's say I woke up in the shoes of a guy who had 2 million Instagram followers, wasn't making shit for money. First thing I would do is analyze my audience. Who are they? Get a profile. Well, they seem to be men between age 25 and 45, and then I would say, what I would figure out, what are the biggest problems they have? And I would probably ask them using polls. What's the biggest problem in your life? Or I've done this with my audience. Hey, what is the biggest problem in your life? Women, business, 5 flags, or other? Okay, and guess what they said? They said business and 5 flags more than women. Interesting. But a lot say women too. So I'd figure out what the problem is for my audience. And then with that information, I would either develop a high margin information product or information service and sell it to them, Or if I didn't want to do it, didn't know how, I would go to someone else and say, you develop this information product or service that solves this problem, sell it on my site, I'll pay a percentage, we'll both make a shitload of money. That's what I would do. But again, I wouldn't just sell them something. I wouldn't be like Logan Paul and just sell them shit. No. What did I say? Analyze who they are, find out what their biggest problem is, and come up with a solution for that problem. That's what I would do. And I'd make a shitload of money. If you gave me, 2 million followers on any platform right now, you know how much money I'd fucking make? You have any idea how much money I'd make right now from those followers? God damn. That's why I only need 10,000 followers on YouTube to make a 6-figure income stream. Okay? Because I know what I'm doing. I'm a business owner. If the United States broke up into several tiny countries, as you have suggested in the past, and one or more of them adopted libertarian economic values, would you consider moving back to that country? Yes. And I've said this. I haven't said this for a long time. That's not going to happen. But yes, I would do that. Now, here's the thing. This is important. Something a lot of you don't understand. You only pay attention to what politicians do, not what they say. Trump supporters, Obama supporters, Bush supporters, you ignore what they say and watch what they do. So I wouldn't, if they said, we're going to be libertarian, we're going to respect property rights and the free market and low taxes, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I still wouldn't go there. I'd have to watch them for a few years and see how they did it, see what they actually did. And if I watch them actually adopt libertarian policies across the board, yeah, Pink Firefly and I would go back. Sure. Not going to happen. Nice fantasy. It could happen somewhere else in the world. Excuse me. It could happen, some other country could break up or balkanize. What he is referring to, by the way, if you don't know, is what I suggested many years ago. This is how you save, quote unquote, the United States. You can't save the United States. All you can do is redo the United States. So here's what you should do. Number one, you make Alaska and Hawaii their own countries. So they're their own countries now. Boom, done. Then what you do is you take the continental United States, you draw a line down the middle, okay? Then you draw about 3 or 4 horizontal lines across the entire continent, and you end up with about 10 or 12 long, skinny countries. Each one of them have a coastline and a port, because you need a port. You can't punish Colorado. You can't take every state and say, okay, all the states are now their own country. Wouldn't be fair to places like Colorado because they'd be landlocked, okay? So then you have 10, 12 independent countries, totally independent, all of which has a port and a coastline to make it fair, okay? Then each country does whatever they want. So if you want a woke country, you have a woke country. Then you have a socialist country. Then you have a traditional Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton-ish Democrat country. Then you have a Republican country. Then you have a libertarian country. Then you have a Trump version of a Republican country. Then you have like a like a Pat Buchanan, very religious, right-wing TradCon country. Then you have a country that's anarchy. There's no laws. You go there at your own risk. Bring a gun. Do whatever you want. You have that country. And you have all these different kind of countries. And then you say to everybody, okay, you can now move to any country you want. And now everybody's happy. Everyone has a country they like, and now you're done. And you just wait 20, 30 years and see which countries do well. I know which countries would do well. The libertarian one would do well. So, if you have that weird hypothetical scenario, yes, I would move back to the libertarian or anarchist country. Yeah. By the way, should I talk about anarchy versus... Yeah, let me address that really quick because there may be some questions about this. I am a minarchist libertarian. I'm not an anarcho-capitalist. Why am I not an anarcho-capitalist? Because that's utopian. If God came down from heaven and immediately eliminated all the governments of the planet Earth, the very next thing, 8 o'clock the next day, human beings would do was start forming governments. Unfortunately, human beings like governments. So to say, let's not have any government is utopian. That'll never happen. Human beings like government. So I take the political stance of, okay, dumb fucks, if you have to have a government, because I would prefer anarcho-capitalism. I would prefer this. But all right, dummies, if you have to have a government, you keep it small, local, and decentralized for as long as you possibly can. That's it. And that would be libertarian anarchism. Let's see. I have a small passive income portfolio and currently creating my location-dependent business. I have several options where I can establish my company. I already have connections and can easily establish a company in the UK and Croatia. Cool. but I prefer it be in Dubai. How did you open your business in Dubai? Any pointers and contacts would be highly appreciated. I don't give out most of that information publicly. You can buy my course, Get Residency. It's about $400 at getresidency.io, or you can join one of my coaching programs. We can give all the details on that. Basically, what you have to do, in summary, is you have to hire a firm that will set up a corporation for you in a Dubai free zone. There's about 35 of them. There's a ton of them. Okay, and it's going to cost you some money. It's going to cost you a few $1,000s. Also, it's going to cost you about. Hang on one second. Something in my throat. Hang on one sec. Also, a lot of people don't know this. It's going to cost you about $4,000 US a year to renew that company every year. So you don't want to do this unless you know you'll be saving that much amount in taxes, and you probably will. I would happily pay that. I would pay triple that to pay no taxes or very little taxes. Fine. So just be aware of that, and then set the corporation, and then you can set up a checking account for that corporation if you want. By the way, the corporation gives you residency, so you'll immediately get residency once you set up your corporation. That's kind of cool. And then you have to go to a bank to set the checking account for the corporation. Dubai banks take a long fucking time to set up new accounts for a lot of reasons. They were accused many years ago of money laundering, so they cracked down on this stuff. So now it takes a good 2 to 3 weeks to set up a bank account in Dubai. So you get that done, and then you're done. You have what's called a trade license in Dubai, and you have your legal Dubai corporation. It's awesome. Caleb, don't you think just getting out of the collapsing West is decent but limited advice? No. If you don't renounce your citizenship, the Western governments, once they go 100% insane, can legally order you to return. What? No, they can't. And if you did, you'd say, fuck you. And or can inflict all manner of things on you legally they would already do if you physically lived in the collapsing country. You're making no sense. If you're an American living in Paraguay, and you live in Paraguay, you have no reason to go back to the United States, and let's say, or even me, America was collapsing horribly and said, we now order you, American, who lives in Dubai or Paraguay, to return to the United States and pay a bunch of new taxes. You better do it or you're in trouble. Who would go back? Would you go back? I wouldn't go back. I'd say, fuck you. What are you going to do? Send the cops over to Paraguay and try to No. Especially when they're collapsing. So that's the part a lot of people don't realize. And if you read books like Snow Crash, you'll see this, fictional versions of this. As America continues to collapse, this is happening now. It has less and less influence over the world. The BRICS countries just surpassed the G7 countries in terms of GDP. So America, yes, they have the biggest military in the world right now. Are they going to have that forever? No. They're going to have less authority outside the United States every year that goes by. So they will have the authority of doing this. And why would you do that? So no, I think you're being silly and insane. Do I need an attorney to buy Dominica or Antigua CBI? Yes. Or can I just spend the $120K or so and just do it all myself if I'm a reasonably smart and savvy? I would not recommend that at all. You're looking at, $20,000, $30,000 just in legal fees. No, I would not do that. You'll fuck it up. You'll fuck it up, and then it'll take you like 2 or 3 years, and you might as well just gotten a residency in, Paraguay or Armenia or something if you're gonna wait that long. So no, I mean, it is possible if you have a legal background, if you have a lot of free time on your hands, if you don't like reading, if you don't mind massive amounts of paperwork and reading hundreds of hours a week, I'm exaggerating, but you get my point, and you're gonna park yourself in like Antigua or Dominica for months and months and months or a year at a time, a lot of ifs, right? Then I guess you could go for it. You'll still fuck it up. I've said this before. Now this is probably not true anymore, but it was true for many years, most of my adult life. I have or had the ability to do my own taxes, to prepare my own taxes. I could have done it, but I didn't because it would have taken me hours and hours. And for me to say, I'll save $2,000 and do my own taxes. Jesus Christ, it would have taken me 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 hours of my time, and I would have made all kinds of errors. I'd rather pay someone $2,000 or $1,000 or whatever it is, okay, to spend a few hours and do it 100% right or 90% right. It's dumb. So no, I would not recommend that at all. Hire an attorney to do it. If I worked really hard, 50 hours a week, and did what coaches told me I could and did what coaches told me, could I potentially be at $3,000 a month income within the first 2 months? Yes. We've had people do this who worked less than 50 hours a week. Yes. In terms of the 9-day business builder, the answer is a big yes. Absolutely. I never hear you discuss bankruptcy to get rid of all your debts. Are you against it? And if so, why? From a moral, ethical standpoint, I'm against it because bankruptcy is legalized theft. So I'm going to borrow $20,000 from you. I'm going to promise to pay it back. Then I'm going to go file bankruptcy. I pay you back anymore. And what is your recourse? None. You're like, what? I just stole $20,000 from you. Bankruptcy is stealing. Twice in my life, very long time ago as a young man, I was on the verge of bankruptcy. And at one of those 2 times, I was actually talking to a bankruptcy attorney. And the attorney said, yes, you're a good candidate for bankruptcy. And I went, ugh. And I thought about it. I said, I can't do this. I can't steal from people. I can't do it. Can't do it. It's just, there's something in me that won't allow me to steal from you. So that's why I am personally opposed to bankruptcy. But that is my own personal opinion. If you want to file bankruptcy, you'll fuck your credit for 7-8 years. But if you don't care and you're young, go ahead. It's up to you. I don't moralize. I'm not a right winger. I don't moralize to people. You do whatever you want. I would never do it because to me, it's stealing. The same reason why I will never take any government money because that was stolen. Taxes are taken at the point of a gun. If you stop paying your taxes, men with guns will come to your house to collect your taxes. Taxes are taken at the point of a gun. It is legalized theft. They are stealing from you. If you voluntarily gave money to the government, then that'd be okay. But if they're taking it from you or you're going to throw you in jail if you don't take it, I'm not taking any government money because that's blood money. But that's my personal decision I've made for my life. So I try to have a lot of integrity in terms of what I believe and what I will do and what I will not do. Let's see. Trezor Model 1 versus Trezor Model T. Is there a big difference? I don't know that level of detail. I have a Trezor. What do I have? I have several hardware wallets. I don't remember what I have. I have Trezor something. I have one of the new Trezors. I don't remember. Trezor or Ledger or both. It's up to you. It's up to how much. It's up to you. How much, cryptocurrency are you running? Are you transacting with? How much do you own? I don't know these answers, so I don't know if you do both or not. MetaMask wallet or Trust wallet? MetaMask. What are your thoughts on Hex? I don't think Hex is going to work. I had high hopes for Hex about a year ago. What is Hex at right now? 19 cents? I don't know. But I have not done the hardcore research on Hex. I'm aware of it. I know what you're talking about. I've talked to guys who made money with Hex, but I don't think it's going to work. But I'm not an expert, so that's just my opinion. When you're traveling, what is your setup for work? How many monitors, laptops, tablets, lights, cameras, and other essential tech? All right. If you want a full breakdown of this, hang on. Something in my mouth. If you want a full breakdown of this, you should get my course, Travel Ace. I actually video myself packing for an actual trip, and I display exactly how I set up my laptop. I go through in detail. It's a whole course on this. It's like 3 or 4 lessons just on that. To summarize, I have my laptop. I have a portable monitor, and it goes on the back of your laptop screen, and it flips out this way to the right, so you have a second small monitor. I have a laptop stand that raises it up at eye level. Then I have a wireless keyboard, and I use that, so I'm looking right at it. I don't have to look down. The problem with traveling and having laptops, you're looking down. It's not very good ergonomic for your neck, so you're looking straight ahead. Okay, I have that. I bring my DSLR camera with the correct lens with me wherever I go. As of now, that has changed. I'm not going to bring that fucking camera anymore because I'm just going to do ugly webcam stuff. I already talked about this as to why on the Sovereign CEO YouTube channel. What else do I bring? What are you saying here? Tablets. I don't bring a tablet. I bring my laptop and that's it. I have a, I used to have a yoga. Now I have a, what is my laptop? ThinkPad X something, X1? ThinkPad X1. So it flips around, turns into a tablet for like planes and stuff. It's awesome. It's top of the line. But that's the only thing I bring. And I have 2 phones. I have my international phone and I have my Dubai phone. That's it. I travel light. I travel with 1 bag, 1 backpack. I can go somewhere for a month on 1 backpack. I'm an expert at this. If you're really interested in how I do this, exactly how I pack, exactly how I configure this stuff, Travel Ace. Go to store.calebjones.com. Is that right? Store.calebjones.com? Yeah, store.calebjones.com. Find Travel Ace and buy it. AI is starting to be everywhere. Correct. Do you think AI might be useful with online dating, help us to optimize our profile or talking to a girl or any other way? Conversely, do you think it might be a threat with an increase of fake profiles talking to human men. So this should be an Alpha Male 2.0 question that unfortunately wasn't moved over. I will answer it briefly. I strongly recommend you watch the South Park episode they did about this a few months ago, where Kyle has a girlfriend. He uses AI to respond to all of her texts, and she's like, oh my God, he loves me. And he's literally taking a shit on the toilet. He gets a response, copy, paste, send. And he's reading a book, and he's playing a video game, and she's like, oh wow, he's so romantic. It's awesome. Yes, AI will be able to help in the short term, and then something else will change all that. But yes, it can help, you bet. Do I think it might be a threat with an increase of fake profiles talking to human men? Yes, but that's always been a problem. One of the many reasons I did not respond to Pink Firefly a billion years ago on Match.com when she messaged me first is I thought she was fake. I saw her pictures. I saw this gorgeous Barbie blonde. I went, okay, either this is a woman who is real, but she lives in Russia, and she's going to ask me to fly her to America and send her, $13 for a plane ticket. Or this is some guy or some bot or some scam, because I had encountered that before. So yes, that'll be a problem, but it's already a problem. I mean, X number of percent of profiles on any given dating app are fake, right? So why all the hype around Paraguay? From the videos I've seen, Asuncion looks like kind of a dump. From the videos, there seems to be cheaply made third world vibe in most places. Yes. Also, Asuncion looks boring, not much to do. I've said that, I think, 100 times. Asuncion is boring. It is not for people who want to party with chicks and do a lot of fun things. That's not why you go there. You go there to relax. Correct. But yes, Asuncion is, if it's too rough for you, don't go there. Go to Dubai. Go to somewhere higher on like Uruguay. Go somewhere higher on the economic scale. If you're a big pussy and you can't handle broken sidewalks occasionally and places that look like a dump. Now, where I go to when I hang out, the places I hang out in Paraguay aren't dumps. You think I would live in a dump? I would stay in fancy high rises. But if you don't like it, then don't go there. It's fine. Moving on with this question. Is there any reason to move there other than tax benefits, cheap cost of living, and the women? What? Your list is why you moved there. Is there any reason to move there other than it's really cheap, I'm going to save a lot of money in taxes, and the women are fucking amazing? That's why you move there. What more reasons do you want? If you want high-tech first world lifestyle, then you wouldn't go there. You come here to Dubai. Your question makes no sense. What the fuck? Tax benefits, cheap cost of living, and the women. As a plan B, as a place that Paraguay's going to be very safe when Western world collapses. That's going to be one of the safest places on earth. It's not be affected at all. So it's a good plan B. It's a fourth reason you'd go there. But yeah, if you want excitement, I've said this 10,000 times. Don't go to Paraguay. Go to Brazil. You want an exciting place, go to Buenos Aires. Go to Brazil. Go to Colombia. Don't go to Paraguay. That's not why you go there. You think I go there because I want a lot of cool stuff to do and go to clubs and hang out with 18-year-old chicks? No. God, you guys are weird. Is Portugal a good place to move to? No. I've seen whenever you list the top countries to move to, Portugal isn't there. Yes. But I heard there are other places that Portugal is a great place to move to. Okay. Portugal is the least bad place to move to in suicidal Europe. My attitude is this. Why would you want to move to somewhere that is the least bad country in a bad region? Why would you move to a bad region that is collapsing? That makes no sense to me. So I would never recommend Portugal. However, if you are just dead set on Europe, you just cannot detach your brain and your balls from Europe for some fucking reason, for some irrational reason, then fine, go to Portugal. There are people in my audience who live in Portugal or moved to Portugal, but all of them had specific financial logistical reasons to move there. There was a guy in one of my coaching programs last year who lived in Portugal, but his wife is Portuguese and they can get passports and stuff by him moving there. So that makes sense. But just going to Portugal because you heard it was a good place, I hate to break this to you, Portugal's in Europe. You don't want to live in Europe. Europe is collapsing faster than the US, and that's saying something. Why? There are so many other cool places on earth to move to that are so much better than Europe. All over Southeast Asia, all over South America. Dubai, if you have some money. There's so many other better places than fucking Portugal. Yes, Portugal is the least bad place in Europe. That's probably accurate. But why? That's your standards for your life? The least bad, the least shitty place in a horrible, collapsing, shitty region? You're going to spend your life there? I wouldn't. It makes no sense. Again, there's a percentage of you who just say, I have to be in Europe because I'm insane. Okay, then go to Portugal. Better go to Paraguay or Uruguay, Colombia, Dubai, Thailand, Malaysia. There's so many better places. A lot of guys in the crypto community are moving to El Salvador. I don't know if that's true. I think that's overstated. I don't think that's true. The president just locked everyone up that had a tattoo and crime has gone down by 9%. Yeah, it's very interesting what's going on in El Salvador. I've been paying attention to this closely. Very interesting, yes. Do you still think it's a shithole country? Yes. Just because you lock up all your criminals does not suddenly mean you're not a shithole anymore. It's still a shithole country. Now, let's see what happens. Let's wait 2 or 3 years and see if that guy down there, this president down there who's like, 20 years old, he looks like a baby. Let's see what he does. Let's see if he's able to keep it up. Number one, I don't know. Odds are low. And if he leaves office, that the next president will carry that forward. Here's the problem with places like Georgia. Georgia was doing all the right things. Georgia was turning into a libertarian paradise. They turned their economy around. It was wonderful. But then that guy left office, and a bunch of left-wingers got into office, and they reversed everything he did. So you have to measure with time if El Salvador comes out of its slump. It's going to take several years to find out. You can't just snap your fingers and lock a bunch of people and say, now we're good. That's not how it works. But I am very interested. I am very interested. I am keeping an eye on El Salvador like I never have before. It's very interesting what he's doing there. But he's just one person. And as we've seen many, 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 many times, it takes more than one person. Hang on a second. Need water. It takes more than one person to make positive, long-lasting reforms in a country. Trump supporters, it takes more than one person. It only takes one person to make negative reforms. That's what happened in places like Venezuela, Cuba. You can have one socialist, fascist strongman who fucks the country. You can do that. But in order to turn it into a paradise, a libertarian paradise, a prosperous economy, it takes more than one person. It takes a group of people who are committed for a long period of time. Odds are low. I know this isn't your area of expertise, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are. One of my highest income skills is web programming. I worked as a lead developer for a while and now do freelance work in addition to having other sources of income. How quickly do you think web programming will be replaced by AI so it makes it so easy to become irrelevant? In the next few years. I can't give you a date. In the next few years. Your days are numbered, yes. And the shit they're doing now with AI, the coding they're doing now with AI is crazy. The shit I've seen guys do, they go click, clickety, click, clickety, click, and they're done. And they said, this would normally take me 22 hours. I just did it in 4 minutes with AI, and it works better. Your days are numbered. And what makes some things a technically minded person with my background should start learning to future-proof himself? I know the typical answer is start a business, become a coach, etc. I didn't say become a coach. Start a business, yes. But I'm already doing that. I want to continue doing coding or something similar because I enjoy it, not because I'm putting off starting a business. What are the technical, nerdy, high-income skills of the future? Thank you. All right, I'm going to make you very disappointed, and a lot of my audience very disappointed. A lot of you engineering types, IT types, lissigs. Going forward, there will not be a lot of technical, nerdy, high-income skills. That's going to be replaced by AI. So the skill you should learn is, what do you think the skill you should learn is? You technical nerds who need to learn a new skill so you don't get wiped out by AI. What do you think the skill is? What do you think I'm going to say to you? Starts with the letter M. Marketing. Marketing. Well, Caleb, I don't want to do that. I don't care. You didn't ask me what you want to do. You asked me, what do you need to do to survive and thrive in the collapsing dark age where AI runs everything? Marketing. Or sales. Marketing probably a little better, a little easier if you're an introvert. Okay? Marketing, that's it. Start a business, yes, and market. Yes. You don't have to be a coach you don't want to. You can be a lot of things. Are there some technical high-income skills? Yeah, developing AI. But soon AI will develop AI. Google's already doing that. Google already has AI. They don't like talking about it because it's kind of scary. They already have AI that develops AI. So there is no nerdy, technical, high-income skill that will last the next 20 years. There is none. AI is going to take all that shit over. So that means you need to get off this technical shit unless you want to do it for fun. If you love to coding for fun, great. I love writing fantasy fiction for fun. But I do it for fun. I don't do it to make money. It's never going to make any money. If it makes me money, it make me a little bit because I'm already a public figure, right? I mean, if I came out with a novel right now, a lot of you would buy it. I'd make a little money, but not much. Nothing compared to what I make on anything else I do. So I do it for fun. So you want to do shit for fun, that's fine. That's cool. I used to do that stuff when I used to be a big nerd in my 20s. I did all kinds. I would build computers and do all kinds of stuff for fun. Those days are gone. Sorry, or are not gone yet. They're going to be gone in the next few years. Marketing. Buy Bitcoin now or wait for the next dip. I would buy it now. It's going up. I have the option of marrying someone Colombian, and in that way I can get residency. I want to live in Colombia, of course. I will make sure to meet with a lawyer who will prepare a prenuptial agreement that separates our assets. Okay? In addition to my assets. You don't need to worry about that nearly as much in Colombia. If she's Colombian and you're doing this in Colombia, getting killed in divorces is not a thing in Colombia. That's a Western thing. So yes, do that, but you don't need to worry about it. In addition to my assets are spread in banks outside the country in Bitcoin. Good. And the stock market, that's not good, but okay. Does this seem like a logical option to you? I hate the Western country where I came from, and I really don't want to go back, and I want to start a new chapter in life. Thanks. Yes, that's great. If you want to move to Colombia, yes. You know my opinion about marriage. That's a little off topic for this AMA, but to summarize, it should be non-monogamous. You should be able to have sex with any women you want, whenever you want, without having to check in with your wife. And if she doesn't agree to it, you don't marry her. Number one. Number two, 100% separation of finances, which you've already covered. As long as you have those two things in place, you can get married. I'm married, but I have those two things in place. If you're going to be monogamous, no, you're insane. You're just asking for future explosions. Ask Steven Crowder. Okay, so no. Other than that, yeah. Be aware of tax law. In Colombia, get a good tax accountant or tax attorney in Colombia and sit down and discuss it with them and how that works. If you live in Colombia more than 6 months a year, you will incur some sort of tax. Do your best to figure out how you can mitigate that based on your foreign residency. Okay? So just be aware of that. Tax money coming in from outside the country is taxed at a lower rate, I believe, in Colombia, but figure all that out. Other than that, yeah, it's a great idea. Other than those two things, be aware. Monogamy and taxes, be aware of those things. Mitigate. Do what I said. But that's great. That's great. Colombia's great. Colombia's a growth country. It's awesome. Colombia's fantastic. I wish I had more time to spend in Colombia. That's one of those countries I really wish I had more time to spend in. I don't have the time. I really wish I had more time to spend in Colombia. Really do, for a number of reasons. What do you think of the stock market in 2023? I think it's a bubble. I think you're fucked if you're invested in it. Would you agree that it has become pure speculation and irrational, specifically talking about the U.S.? Beyond that, it's become quasi-governmental. The U.S. stock market, the S&P 500, is a quasi-department of the government now. The government, the only reason it's still there over the last several catastrophes the last 15 years is because the government has pumped a bunch of money, your tax dollars, into the stock market to keep it pumped up. And it's also a bubble that is not representative of the actual value of those companies. So if you're invested heavily in U.S. stock market, I don't know, I don't want to call you stupid. I was about to call you stupid. I think you're stupid. I don't know what the hell you're thinking. Unless you have a very specific exit plan that happens soon, I don't know what the hell you're thinking about this. I don't know what your plan is. You really expect this thing to be great in 40 years to retire on? Are you insane? No. Yes, it has boomed in the last 15 years. That's all fake boom. Yes, it has boomed. People have made money on it. Yeah. Now, I made a lot more money in things like Bitcoin and before that gold than most people have made in the stock market. So you can make a lot of money investing, not being in the stock market. I have. I've done very well in my investments, extraordinarily well. And I've owned a single American stock in a long time. So that's my opinion about it. It's just one of those things. It's like, it's like moving out of your country or non-monogamy. It's just one of those things your societal programming is wedded to. But the stock market, but that's where you put your money and that's the safest place. And you've been told that your whole life. And it has been true for most of your life. Not true anymore. It's like going to college. All this stuff that used to be a great idea that's now a terrible idea. The stock market's one of them. Would it be some good business for, what would be some good businesses for a fresh IT graduate? It's the same kind of question. There's 10,000, dude. I can't give you a list. Consulting sounds nice. I would agree. Consulting's great. Always recommend that. But what could I possibly consult anyone about? Businesses usually use complex systems that I know nothing about, which are a mess, pure mess, by the way. That's your consulting practice. It's a pure mess. You help fix the mess. If you're an IT graduate, you have an IT personality, you're a smart person, you can sit down and untangle the mess. You just stated a 7-figure-a-year consulting practice. I fix your fucking mess. How much is your mess causing you per year, Mr. Client? I'm going to help you fix that. You're going to save millions of dollars a year by hiring me. You don't need to know exactly how to code to the level that, you don't have to know that. As a systems analyst, you don't need to know those things. I have an IT background. I was an IT consultant. You know how much money I fucking made in my 20s? With no high school diploma and no college degree, I was kicking ass. I didn't know shit. I just was an IT nerd, just like you. So there you go. You're not thinking like a business owner. You're thinking too narrow. Going on with this question, small businesses usually don't have any system at all, like hairdressers. Then you install it. Install point of sale systems for them. I made a lot of money with small business. That's all I focused on pretty much. And you would go after hairdressers, right? You'd go after like a small clinic, small doctor's office, small consulting practice, small legal firm. Legal firms are great. They just print money. Shit like that. I certainly can't consult with software companies. You're just making a bunch of goddamn excuses like a beta. Stop making a bunch of excuses. I certainly can't consult with software companies. Yes, you can, because they know their stuff far better than me. Those are coders. You're a consultant. You're a systems analyst level guy. You're not a coder. You don't come in and teach people how to code. That's not a consultant. I don't know how to code. I knew Fortran a long time ago. I do some basic Microsoft Access database programming way back in the day. I've forgotten it all. I'd say I didn't do that. Yeah, no. Give me as many concrete and reasonable options as you can. I just did. I am all ears. No, you're not. You're making excuses. You don't sound like you're all ears. You sound like, well, I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't do anything. What do I do, Caleb? I seem to have heard that you did consulting in IT. Would love to hear some specifics. What I did was, and I don't know if I'd recommend this today, but it would still work. I did on-site networking consulting. So I would go to small companies and either set up their networks or help maintain their networks. That's what I did. I made a shitload of money. For a young kid who was 25, didn't know shit, 6 figures at $19 not bad. And they don't care I went to college. I didn't go to college. They didn't care I didn't graduate. They don't care. It's not a job. It's a consultant. That's what I did. Very time intensive. I wouldn't recommend this unless you outsourced it and you were just a broker. So I don't know if I'd recommend that today, but I did it. I worked hard, but it worked. Time for more water. Ookie. Let's see. In your video about dealing with your family when you want to leave the country, it was about the ship going down. However, my family-related concern is, what if you have a parent who will need to be cared for and no one else is there to do it? Yeah, you won't like my answer on this. Get ready. Get ready for some Caleb asshole bluntness. Do you still have a right to leave to another country and say that their care is not your problem? Yes. What do you tell them? All right. So this gets into philosophy. You will not agree with a lot of this. If you are not white, you'll even more disagree with this, because if you are Asian, Hispanic, and even black, you've got a lot of cultural societal programming that says you must take care of your mom and dad forever no matter what. And if you don't, you're a horrible, evil asshole. This is societal programming, therefore it is false. Okay? So let's start with the macro really quick. As soon as you turn 18 years old, whatever obligations you had to your parents are done. You're done. Once you move out, you're 18, you move out. Your parents chose to have you because they wanted to have kids. They did not give it to you as a gift. Your mama wanted to have kids, so she went to your dad and said, I want kids. He went, oh, fine. And you had kids. Okay? They didn't want to give you the gift of life and in that bullshit. They didn't do that. They raised you, but they raised me. And they chose to do that. They fucking chose to do that. Okay? You didn't ask them to do it. I told this to my parents when I was a little kid. Hey, man, I didn't ask to be born. You had me. So fuck you. Now, I didn't say it like that, but I didn't say that. Okay? So do you have here's the next thing. Your parents do not own your life. And again, if you're Asian, if you're Indian, this is really hard to hear. Somewhat Latino, this is hard to hear, but it's true. When you are a grown adult, your parents do not own you. You own you. It's called natural law. I suggest you look it up, and read about it. This is a philosophy I followed for a long time. Natural law means it's a philosophy. It's not facts, it's philosophy. You own you and no one else owns you. Your government doesn't own you. Society doesn't own you. Your wife or girlfriend doesn't own you. Your children don't own you. Your mommy and daddy do not own you. Only you own you. You own 100% of you. Your mom does not own you. You can choose to help your parents. I have helped my parents in various ways over the years because I have chosen to. Okay? I choose. I don't feel any obligation to do so. Matter of fact, I've had a conversation with one of my parents where I said, if you blow all your money, this is my mom. I told her this a few years ago on the phone. I said, Mom, if you blow all your money, because she's retired. They're both retired now. My parents are old. If you blow all your fucking money, because I suggested she do certain things, and she says, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, okay, great. It's your money. It's your life. You own you. However, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. If you blow all your money, do not come to me asking for money. You can ask your other siblings, my brothers and sisters. Maybe they'll help you. They probably will. They're nicer than me. Don't fucking ask me. That's your fucking problem. And I said it like that. I was very emphatic about this. Your mom chose to live your life the way she chose to live it, or your dad, or whoever this is. Okay? So no, you have the right to do literally whatever you want. Okay? Now, here's how I would handle this. Let's say I was an only child. And that's the other thing. Do you have siblings? Well, yeah, but they don't want to help. Well, why is that your fault? Your siblings are assholes. How is that your fault? Why do you have to be punished for your siblings? Same thing. Okay? Now, here's how I would handle this. And I'll give you another stupid hypothetical. Let's say I was an only child. I had a sick mother who I needed to help. Okay? And I'm moving out of the country. And I'm not staying. I would say, Mom, here's the deal. If you want me to help you and live with me and take care of you, you're moving to Dubai with me. I'm not moving to Dubai, goddamn. Bye. Okay, bye. If you change your mind, you let me know. I'm leaving. Now, if you want to come with me and I will continue to help you. If you want to stay here and go down with the ship and no one's going to help you because you have no other siblings and dad is dead or whatever reasons there are, that's a decision that you, Mom, are making as an adult for your life. You cannot control me. I am more than willing to help you. This is assuming now I had the financial wherewithal to do this. Okay? Making that assumption. I'm more than willing to help you, but I'm not going to help you here. I'm getting the fuck out of this collapsing, fucked up country with a bunch of woke psychopaths and a bunch of Trump dorks who can't stop the woke psychopaths, who is collapsing economically. It gets worse every year, and homeless people and crime. I'm not staying here. So if you want to stay here, that's your decision. I'm not staying. You want to come with me and I'll help you? Great. Let's figure that out. I don't want to go to Dubai. I don't want to go to Paraguay. What about my sister and my friends? Then stay. Okay, bye. And I would turn around and leave the room. That's how I would handle it. That requires something you may not have. They're called balls. Most of you men do not have those anymore. I lived in an era where most men had those. Today, most men don't have those. Most men are women, and they don't have the balls to stand up to their mommies. I've given stories on my other channel about how I stood up to both my mom and my dad in separate scenarios, and I literally told them, fuck off. You better not say that again, or you're not going to see me again. I mean, you got to stamp to your parents. You're not a man until you stamp to your parents, and most of you are not men. So we'll see if you're a man or not. It's up to you. Okay, this next question is very long. I'm going to read the first sentence or two, and then I'm just going to skip the rest. As an IT consultant, do you, impersonal, get paid for fixing the problem or for their advice on how they can fix their problem? How does consulting actually work? And he has 14 other questions around that. Your question is too long. I'm sorry. I'm going to cut you off. Either one. Generally, consulting is an advisory capacity. You analyze their system and you say, here's what you should do. Your team should go do it. There is some types of consulting, hands-on IT consulting that is paid less that I used to do, where you actually do the work yourself. You do it either way. You will be able to charge more money, believe it or not, if you don't do the work, if you're purely advisory. You have some questions about, you have any references in the process, buy the book $1 Million Consulting by Alan Weiss. Any book on consulting by Alan Weiss is amazing You can start with $1 million consulting. What is your opinion on infinite banking? No thanks. Using a low death benefit, max cash value, IULs is a place to be able to leverage your money. Yeah, I know what infinite banking is. I am not going to bet my future on a insurance company. I would direct you to AIG. Look what happened to them. Okay? Insurance companies can and will go under. Now, yes, the US government will bail a lot of them out until it can't. But I'm not betting my long-term future on a company, on an individual company. I'm not going to do that. So I do not recommend that at all. Your thoughts on the future of BRICS, countries other than China. Well, let's go through the list. So first of all, the news just came out. One of my buddies just reported on this, where the BRICS countries have now exceeded the GDP of the G7. G7 or G8. So the non-Western organization, BRICS, has now exceeded the GDP of the West. The West is collapsing. Asia is rising. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean all the BRICS countries are doing great. So let's go through it. BRICS, B, Brazil. Brazil's fucked. Brazil, once again, has fucked itself again. Brazil's a very rough place. It's going to be a very rough place over the next few years. Brazil's in big trouble. Could they turn it around in a decade or two? Possibly, because that's what South America does. Up and down and up and down. But right now, Brazil is fucked. It's going to be fucked for a long time. Russia. Russia is a wild card. Russia is probably fucked. Probably. Putin has lost his mind. Putin was a very effective leader for a long time. Now he's lost his mind. A lot of people in Russia now hate him. A lot of his own oligarchs hate him. Up in the air. Putin really only controls Moscow and St. Petersburg. When you say Russia, that's about it. Everything outside of that is just a Wild West Mad Max, lawless zone. They do have a lot of natural resources, so it's a wild card. India is going to do well. India is growing slowly despite their own efforts with lots of problems. They're addicted to bureaucracy, things like that. China, you said beside China. South Africa, big trouble. Boy, they fucked themselves. So South Africa, a lot of problems. Probably collapsing. So of other nations, South Africa is probably a collapsing country, but the rest are not collapsing. Brazil is up and down. Russia, maybe. India's on its way up with problems. China's on its way up with lots of problems. South Africa, no. But you got to include things like Saudi Arabia. That's in BRICS. They're doing great. They're rising fast. Yeah. I could do a whole thing on BRICS. Probably should do a video on that. Hang on. More water. I don't speak English very well, and I would like to do business with English-speaking countries. Do you see it as viable? I asked because in your video about why you don't need to speak Spanish, you said that you close deals with Hispanic countries without speaking Spanish, and maybe it works the same way in reverse. It does not. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I'll explain in a second. And keep in mind, I want to do free marketing, which I think means calls. It does not work in reverse. If you have any experience with Americans in particular, Americans expect you to speak English. And if you don't, they get upset. It's not like Paraguay, where they fully expect an American to not know Spanish, and they think it's kind of cute and fun, and they don't care. Westerners are assholes. So I'm sorry. What I would do if I were you is I would hire an English tutor, and I would get to work. And that would be my priority number one, is to clean up my English and to minimize my accent if you have a really strong accent. So priority number one for you is to hire a tutor and get your English dialed. Very important. I'm glad you asked that question. You're brave to ask that question. But yeah, you need to learn good English. Yeah. Unfortunately, I wish it was fair and you could speak shitty or no English and close deals with English Westerners and have it be fine. That's not the case. It isn't. Plus, there are places in the world I could not do that. So there's no way in hell I could close a deal with a French company and speak no French. I could if I had other people all by myself on my own. They'd be like, fuck you, American. So there are places I couldn't do this. Why aren't there any right-wingers anymore? What he's asking about is there are people who call themselves right-wingers, but they are for massive, 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 massive government. They just do not care that they just audited the Pentagon and they can't find $1 trillion. Right-wingers don't care. They don't care. Donald Trump, who right-wingers jizzed over increased government spending, deficit spending in particular, before the pandemic, more and faster than any other president, not only in U.S. history, but in world history. To modern day people who call themselves right-wingers, tradcons, Trump supporters, Republicans, are not only for big government, they are for massive government. Why is that? Well, it's a progression. So the way it worked many decades ago is that the way it used to work, going back to 60s, 70s, 80s, was the right-wing voters wanted small government. The right-wing politicians didn't, but they knew how to play the game. So what would happen is the right-wing Republican politician would step out on the stage in front of a bunch of right-wing voters and say, "I'm for small government." And the audience go, "Yay!" And I'm going to make government smaller and get government out of your life. And the right wing would say, "Yay!" And I'm going to reduce your taxes. And they're going to say, "Yay!" And I'm going to shrink the size of government. "Yay! Yay! Okay, vote for me. Great." And he'd get off the stage. And as soon as he was off the stage, he'd be like, "Those fucking morons. All right, make this government thing bigger, make that bigger, raise these taxes, make that bigger, make that bigger, and make that bigger." So he would govern one way, but pretend to be another way. But the voters really wanted small government until 9/11 and George W. Bush. When 9/11 and George W. Bush hit, right-wingers in the United States made a cultural shift. And they said, well, wait a second. You know what? We do need big government because we got these terrorists, okay? And you know what? Too many people are smoking weed. We got to have this drug war, okay? All right, we have to spend trillions of dollars policing the planet. We have to do that. And if you're not for that, you're anti-American. So for the first time in U.S. history, rank and file right-wingers in the United States openly said, this is a big shift at the time that most of you either were not alive to see or you don't remember, where right-wingers went from saying, "I want small government, I want less spending, fuck this bullshit," to, "Yeah, we need more cops, okay? You know what? And you know what? Healthcare is kind of expensive, so we do need the help of government to pay this healthcare." Right-wingers. That's when I said, okay, fuck the right wing, fuck the right wing, I'm a libertarian. It's around 2002, 2003, when I saw the right-wingers just lose their minds and embrace government. And then what did George W. Bush? He raised government and increased government on steroids, trillions of dollars in growth under the Republican conservative George W. Bush. And the Republicans at the time said, "Yay, what a great president." I said, we're fucked. The last people to stop collapse, to block the left, were you right-wingers, and now you have become another version of the left. Okay? And then that furthered into Trump, and now they openly say, "I don't care if he makes government bigger, so what?" That's right-wingers today. So that's the progression. It is the left-winging of society. The left becomes more left, the right becomes more left. The left becomes from Bill Maher, typical 20 years ago left-wingers, to the woke left you see today. The right goes from people like Pat Buchanan, people like Bill Buckley, real right-wingers back in the 80s and 90s, to Trump supporters today who think it's great that he's spending trillions of dollars and who cares? Let's build a wall and spend trillions of dollars. Yes, healthcare is expensive, so you have a lot of Trump supporters who think UBI is a great fucking idea. That's why you have today Bernie Sanders just a few years ago would give a speech in front of a bunch of right-wingers and end with a standing ovation. And socialists like Bernie Sanders go on Joe Rogan podcast, and all these right-wingers go, "Wow, this guy's awesome." Yeah, because right-wingers today are left-wingers. Right-wingers today worship people who are blatantly left. Joe Rogan is a left-winger on every political position minus guns. Tim Pool, right-wingers love this guy. He is a left-wing guy. He is not hard left, but he is left. He's for free government health care, welfare spending out the ass. Scott Adams is, by his own admission, and he is left of Bernie Sanders, and right-wingers worship him. So you have all these right-wing guys who worship these left-wing guys because they're really left-wing themselves. So that's why. Get the fuck out of the collapsing USA. There is no solving this problem politically. Get out. Be smart like me and get out. Could you recommend some good books on YouTube channels? Oh, Subi. Could you recommend some good books or YouTube channels on marketing? The best book on marketing for beginners is Guerrilla Marketing by J. Conrad Levinson. Start with that. Should I use my name as a brand if it is long and a bunch of gibberish pretty much everywhere outside of my country? What are some good alternatives? Actually, so not if it's long. If it's gibberish, that's good. That's a Seth Godin thing. He started a company called Squidoo. The biggest search engine many years ago was called Yahoo. So it's silly, but it's memorable. But it was 2 syllables. So if it's like 6 or 7 syllables, no. But what you can do is chop off the first 2 syllables. So if it's a weird sounding word, it's memorable. So yes, you should do that. Chop off the last few syllables, just take the first 2. Yeah, that'll work. If it's gibberish is sometimes good if it's short, not long. If it's Braba Daba Shabadan, I mean, some of you Indian guys have these long, crazy names. They sound like Dungeons and Dragons names. Yeah, don't use that. Let's see, we're almost done here. What are the top 10 emerging countries? What are the top 10 emerging countries that will be economic powerhouses? There won't be 10. The world is in trouble, so there won't be 10, and there won't be powerhouses. There'll just be growth. Well, let's start with Southeast Asia. So every country in Southeast Asia minus Laos. So what is that? Thailand, in no order. There's no particular order. Thailand, Malaysia, Cambodia, eventually Myanmar, but that'll be a while. Vietnam. Then let's go down to Oceania. Probably Indonesia. Probably. Philippines, maybe. Definitely Colombia. Places like Dubai. So the 3 stars of the Middle East would be Dubai, Qatar, and Bahrain. Probably Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's maybe. Saudi Arabia is doing really well, but they make a lot of mistakes. If they clean up their shit, and they might, Saudi Arabia really wants to copy Dubai, which is a good thing. So probably Saudi Arabia eventually. There you go. That's not quite 10, but close. And I don't know if they'll be powerhouses, but they'll be growing. Why is the world moving to more authoritarianism like the EU, Canada, etc.? Boy, that's a really complicated answer. And I've mentioned this before. The entire world is moving to authoritarianism. The EU, the United States, Canada, Russia, India, China, they're all moving to authoritarianism. That could be a very big conversation. I'm just going to summarize it. I think people are scared. And when people are scared, they do dumb political shit. They make very dumb political decisions when they're scared, and they go to strong men who step on their necks and crush their lives. This has happened throughout history. So I think people are scared. People know that we're entering, even if they deny it, when someone like me says it, oh, that's bullshit. In the back of their heads, they know things are bad and things are probably going to get worse. Pandemic did a lot of this. Economic collapse did a lot of this. Certainly the war in Ukraine has done this. A lot of contributing factors of this. People are scared, and when they're scared, they go authoritarianism. And they say, please, this is what the right-wingers do. Please, Savior, save me. The left-wingers want a caring mother. The right-wingers want a strong father, right? So the left-wingers want someone like Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama to give them a bunch of free shit. The right-wingers want some kind of ass kicker like Trump to go bomb the bad people and kick the foreigners out of the country and and pass all these laws. And yeah, so that's why. I mean, that's a very simple summarized answer to a very complicated question. It's going to get worse. The answer is, what is the answer? 2 things. Number 1, location independent income through a small business you control. That's location dependent. Number 2, 5 flags or whatever version of that you can pull off. Moving out of the country or international backup plan, offshoring your assets, offshoring your company, having a second home base somewhere, or moving out. Those are your 2 answers. Those are your 2 solutions. And if you're hyper flexible and or wealthy, you will do very well over the next 30 years. I was about to brag. I'm going to do very well the next 30 years. As the world goes to shit, I'm going to do so well because I've done those 2 things. I have multiple location-dependent companies in strong niches that will do well as the Western world collapses. Okay? I'm in, for the 5 flag space. I'm in the dating space. I'm in the cardiology space. These are all massive growth industries as the Western world collapses. Okay? And I'm in a few other spaces I'm not talking about. Okay? So I'm going to do really well because I've done these things and I'm 5 flagged. I'm location dependent. I don't live in the collapsing West. I'm diversified throughout the world. There you go. You mentioned in your blogs that the last chance to save the dying West was the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, it was specifically the 90s. I don't know when the 90s, but it was the 90s, yes. What specific events happened during this time that caused the irreversible collapse? Oh, good question. What could have been done differently that might have prevented the collapse and saved the West? Okay. Here's what happened. A number of things happened. 9/11 occurred, and then we had the overreaction of the Americans to go to war and launch a whole bunch of different wars at a bunch of countries that never attacked us. Afghanistan, yes, but we should have been in and out of Afghanistan in less than 6 months. We should have sat there for 21 years because American voters have lost their fucking minds. So you had that first. Secondly, and this is what I noticed back around the early 2000s when this shift occurred. Number one, you had the Republicans, who I just talked about, embrace massive government. I went, oh my God. The only people stopping the left-wingers from bankrupting the United States were the Republicans. And now they want to bankrupt the United States too. So now we're fucked. Who else is going to stop them? The libertarians? No, that's less than 1%. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is that is also around the time that rank and file normal Americans embraced the welfare state. What I noticed around the same time in the early 2000s, when I saw these Republicans say, yay, what a great president. He's increased spending by trillions of dollars, and 85% of it has nothing to do with the war in Iraq or the war on terror. It's just pork and welfare state spending and shit like that. The same thing I saw the left. What did I see on the left? I saw, and this is now the norm, daycare centers go up in suburban white high schools for the high school girls who had kids to help raise their babies. And I went, holy shit. This is now a new thing that will never go backwards. This will get worse. Welfare spending never goes down. It always goes up. It never goes away. It always increases. You can't decrease welfare spend. It's very rare that ever occurs. Not in any big way. And I was right. During the 2000s, from the year 2000 to the year 2009, I was right about this when I said welfare spending is not going to go crazy. I was right. The number of people on federal disability, Social Security disability, quadrupled. It quadrupled. So did people suddenly get 4 times more clumsy and make mistakes? No. They just said, I can get free money by saying I have a health condition or saying I'm depressed or saying this. I can get a bunch of free money. Welfare spending skyrocketed under Bush, Obama, and Trump. Don't believe me? Go look it up. So you have the left that are completely empowered because they have no opposition, and you have the right who also want to spend trillions of dollars. And then this is not part of your question, around 2010, 2012, the left won the culture war, the right was defeated, and they converted into different types of left-wingers, and now the right's insane and supports people like, all these fucked up people like Steven Crowder and, shit like that. So that's what happened. What could you have done to prevent it? You could have elected Ross Perot in 1992. That would have possibly averted it. You could have elected a guy who said, motherfuckers. I was part of this back in the 90s. Ross Perot got on TV with little graphs and charts. He said, you motherfuckers have got to stop spending all this goddamn money. You're going to bankrupt your country and destroy your country. You have to stop. Now, here's how you would do it. And he went through exactly how he would do it. Detailed numbers, do this, do that, stop doing this, back on this, change this. He was smart about this. He ran it like a business. He got 19% of the vote. The last third-party candidate in the United States who will ever get that kind of support, because now they don't allow those kind of people in debates. He kicked their asses in these debates. It was amazing. Could have voted him in. That may have averted a collapse. That's it. You could have not bombed all these foreign countries and not had 9/11. 9/11 was a direct response to Bill Clinton when he was getting blowjobs in the office from Monica Lewinsky. He was on trial for this in August of, 1999? And to divert attention from this, he launched a bunch of missiles into, was it Afghanistan? Afghanistan and Syria, I believe. And he bombed a bunch of Tylenol factories, killed a bunch of people, launched it into like campsites. And that's when the Middle Easterners said, okay, that's it. We're done. We're taking these Americans out. Bill Clinton could not have done that. Okay. And again, the left-wingers celebrate. Oh, what a great president Bill Clinton is. So there you go. All right. Last question. What are your thoughts on minarchy versus anarchy? Oh, I kind of said that earlier. I addressed that earlier. To summarize really quickly, anarchy is awesome. I am for anarcho-capitalism. I am for anarchy in a high-tech first world environment. Totally for that. I think if people tried it, it would work amazingly well. The problem is they're never going to try it because human beings like governments. So if you have an anarcho-capitalist region, people would go there and start forming governments. That's just unfortunately what people like to do. Human beings are tribalist creatures. There's no getting around that. So that's why I say, okay, your goal then is if you want a government, fine, you idiots. You keep it for as small as you can for as long as you can. The United States went from a bunch of backwater farmers to a world power in less than 120 years, which has never been done before and probably will never be done again, by keeping government as small as it could for as long as it could. Hong Kong became a little rock out in the ocean with no natural resources and a few fishermen to the #1 economy in the world in 40 years by keeping government as small as it could for as long as it could. When you keep government as small as you can for as long as you can, wonderful things happen to your country. You prosper. The middle class prospers. It's awesome. It's not perfect. Yes, there are problems, but it's amazing. That's minarchy, which is not a thing that people like anymore. People really never did. These are Hong Kong and United States are both anomalies. I don't expect these to happen again in our lifetimes. Could, but I doubt it. So that's it. Thank you very much for this fun AMA. The last AMA I will be doing is the Pink Firefly AMA, which will be over at my Alpha Male 2.0 channel, if it's not already there. And if that is already published, by the time this goes up, I will click the links or put the links in the description in this video below. Have fun. Bye.